begins right now. Here's Mitchell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into Brookland News Live. I'm Jackson Mitchell. We have a lot going on. You see there on the left side of your screen. That is Arkansas Razorbacks new coach, Ryan Silverfield. They're holding a press conference right now. That's not the only story we are monitoring at this hour, because over in Virginia, you're taking a look live there at that shot at suspect Brian Cole Jr. of a nearly a years-long investigation into who placed pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC headquarters. We are watching that. Plus, what is going on with the weather in Brooklyn? Sleet continuing to fall here. A look there at that camera from ArtDot. We'll update you on all of that, but first, taking you live out to Fayetteville, where we are monitoring this camera there, as again, Ryan Silverfield, the Razorbacks' new head coach there, speaking. Let's listen in.
Or like KJ's house. Yeah, he's real, and I like that word, because that means there's not a lot of fakeness, right? I'm genuine. I'm going to tell you what I think, and if I'm wearing socks from 20 years ago from Walmart, like, so be it, with my new suit. It's part of who I am, and I think it's going to resonate because people are going to see the real me every single day, and I think the players are going to love it. I think people are going to understand, man, cool, he's one of us.
I always felt like with the transfer portal and NIL and stuff, it's beneficial for Arkansas if things can be embraced from a financial side of things, because the state in the area doesn't produce just a whole lot, produce some good players, but per capita it doesn't. But I'm curious, and you could have a lot of turnover this year, obviously, with players hitting the transfer portal, and you experienced a lot of that last year at Memphis. But moving forward, what do you think is a good balance for Arkansas in terms of recruiting and adding players from the transfer portal each year?
Yeah, Trey, it's interesting. I think every year is going to have its differences. This would be probably the least amount of high school guys we ever signed. I didn't want to sign guys that I didn't actually have an understanding of who they were, right? Obviously, there was a handful of guys who were committed already, and we honor those. But then most of them I at least had an opportunity to get to know. And anybody I'm going to bring in our locker room, right, I'm bringing a part of our family, right? They're going to come over to the house. They're going to be joining the vets. I think that's as important. So we're going to do a great job recruiting. If I were to throw out a random number, anywhere from 20 to 30 high school kids every single year, and be able to develop them. And then, what is it? Like, if we only need to fill 10 spots in the portal, and some of those may be a third string guy that I got to bring in the portal, right? Everybody always assumes you bring a guy in the portal, is he a starter? Well, if a redshirt freshman goes in the portal and he's not ready to play, but maybe in a year from now he can fit your scheme, then so be it. But it's finding that right balance. But we are always going to rely heavy on high school recruiting, and our job as coaches is to develop those guys.
A lot of times when there's a new coach, there's some quarterback turnover. KJ obviously said he's coming back. I'm just curious, can you outline maybe like how big of a priority that was for you, and just what is it about him that made you come here and say, I want this guy to stay, instead of maybe going out and bringing your own guy in?
Well, I'd been able to watch, obviously, studied some Arkansas film prior to playing them, and I knew his background. And then really over the last course of a few days, just being able to, more than anything, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the film study speaks for itself. And he's got a unique skill set. He's very talented. Even as of this morning, we were actually watching film together, right? Going through some things and talking about it. Like, hey, I know why this throw went to this way, and I certainly don't specialize myself as a quarterback guru. The last time I was a quarterback coach was 2005. But just talking through things with protections and just getting his, the understanding of the way he processes, right? The care. And you hear other teammates talk about what a leader he is and how much it means. And so that stuff is huge. And the success of a team, ultimately, quarterbacks get too much credit, quarterbacks get too much blame. But I think KJ's got a bright future.
Coach, you asked about your defense earlier. I'm curious about the offense. Kind of what do you envision X's and O's wise? Kind of what do you want on that side of the ball? Yeah,
listen, it's going to be similar to the same offense I've run the last 10 years. Like I said, again, credit to the players. We had wonderful players, but it's been really one of the most consistent, successful offense year in and year out. And part of that is turnover margin. Part of that is just having great players making plays. And that, to me, is huge, right? But when it's all said and done, we're not a tempo type team. Okay, we're not an air raid type team. It's everybody's got a unique name for something, right? It's pro style. Do you have to huddle? Well, if we're not always going to be looking to the sideline for signals. 90% shotgun. Okay, we're going to not as much pistol as had been done here in the past, which was something I was even studying as of this morning, and just variations, right? But my job is to put the players in the best opportunity to succeed. So if it's out there being more 11 personnel, if it's if all of a sudden we got certain deals, and if we're short yards goal line, are we more of a 13 personnel? Is that 22? But it's my job and our job as coaches to develop the scheme based off of our players. I think you get so many coaches will sit there, well, he didn't fit my system. No, you're a bad coach. You need to change and adapt to what the players you have. So even as far as skill sets of a quarterback, what the receiver size is, speed on the field, what's your running back situation, your line situation, how much outside zone compared to inside zone. If you got a bunch of 355-pound O linemen, then how much duo are you running? So, look, all that goes hand in hand. That's my job to figure that out. I'm excited to play the first game, but I think I got a little bit of time before I got to determine exactly what plays are going in.
And then going back to the high school recruiting, you announced 17 signees yesterday. You've got today and tomorrow in the early period and then the February period. Are you looking at adding any more high school guys, or does it shift to more portal?
Well, I think we got to see I think sometimes there's been some guys that hadn't signed yet. And if they fit with what we want to do, we're going to always do that. I think if we can add anybody that's going to add value to the locker room first and foremost, and then value to us on the field, we're going to explore it. And so to sit here, and as we continue to look at the roster numbers, but as always with everything, expect the unexpected.
Yeah, Hunter, you mentioned at the start that when you run a tight search, it can create a lot of speculation. There's a notion out there that maybe this was a disorganized search. How would you characterize how it went?
From my perspective, it was very organized. It went from roughly 25 to 30 coaches down to 9, down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. I know because Kyle would come in and say, this name was floated out there yesterday, this name was floated out there. I will tell you that my staff didn't know who I had hired until Saturday night after the game when we got together. And that was the same way the entire search. And so I just feel like out of respect to the coaches, especially running a search during a season where coaches are coaching other teams, and I have the ultimate respect for what those young men and those other locker rooms are going through when their coaches interviewing for jobs. And the calendar we have right now in college football makes it incredibly, incredibly difficult to have the level of respect that I want to respect. And that's why I run a tight search. It's really out of respect for those coaches that I'm talking to because I don't want rumors to be floated out there. I'm not trying to get somebody else a raise. I'm not trying to hurt them and their program. I'm trying to acquire the best coach for the University of Arkansas. And so, again, no one knew on my athletic department staff until Saturday night after the Missouri game who we were hiring.
Speaking of Saturday night, I noticed on the term sheet you both signed it Saturday night. What was the timeline like Saturday when it was offered, agreed upon? How did that go?
Yeah, Ryan and I had been communicating last week. He had a game against Navy, and I wished him good luck. It didn't turn out the way he wanted it to. We communicated some on Friday. He wished me good luck heading into the Saturday game. We visited some during the game on Saturday. I stepped out of my box and at halftime and went and called him. And then we officially got everything wrapped up late Saturday night.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all y'all coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A press conference there wrapping up. We saw the last few moments of it as after Ryan Silverfield there was introduced as the new Razorbacks head football coach that came after Sam Pittman was fired by the University of Arkansas. That happened back in late September. If you remember, they started the season 2-3 with a 2-3 start to the season and a blowout loss to Notre Dame. That is what people are saying is possibly the reason for the firing. But again, Ryan Silverfield there introduced as the new head football coach there. We'll see what he has to bring for this team that just so many people love. They were just talking about a little of the recruitment. Some recruitment also happening today. We're keeping our eyes on the sports world and all of that. So we'll keep monitoring that situation there. So again, Ryan Silverfield introduced as the new Razorbacks head coach. I want to turn you to some news happening right now, some breaking weather news. If you've been in Brookland throughout the last little bit, some sleet can be expected. I have some video. I don't think I'm going to be able to show it to you right this moment, but showing some of this sleet that was coming through on my car. It was piled up by the time I got out and saw it before I got here to do our show. So we'll keep our eyes trained on that. I want to take you right now to a look at radar, where things stand. There you go. There's radar on your screen. You see some heavy rain, but in the far northern parts, we're seeing a rain, sleet, mix type. It's not cold enough right now for anything to stick. It's about right now, I'll tell you, it's about 34 degrees right now. The low overnight lows in the about 26 when we talk where weather stands. Give me just a moment. There's your weekend forecast here. Tomorrow it's going to be cloudy and chilly. A high of 42, a low of 26. A little cooler, I should say a little warmer than today, but I think 42 is still a little bit chilly. Still want to have that sweatshirt, jacket, just something to keep you protected. By Saturday, some possible sun. A high of 50, low of 32. This is the day if you have something to do, you're gonna want to get out, be about. At least some of those good days for the winter. By Sunday, rain and snow mix once again, though it is not going to stick if you see some snow. The high is 52, the low is 32. So again, the forecast chilly, warming up as we go into next week. By Wednesday of next week, temperatures rising up to a possibility of 57 degrees. Now that's a far look out here, so we'll see how that goes. But again, a live look here and an RDOT camera at School Street and Highway 49. We're going to keep our eyes trained on this to see if anything happens. Of course, intersection known to have some wrecks. The roads are slick, possible a little even icy, considering we've seen this kind of sleet mix fall, but it looks like the road might be warm enough and those cars might be warming it up enough to keep it like that. So we're going to keep our eyes trained on that story as it comes in. We are going to sneak in a quick break right here on Brookland News Live. Our coverage is going to return here in just about 3 minutes. Welcome back into Brookland News Live here, where we have approached the 2 o'clock hour. We just came on live just a little earlier just to cover some of the headlines that were happening. We want to take you to this pretty interesting and breaking story. The FBI making its first arrest in the nearly 5-year-long investigation into who planted pipe bombs near the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 5th back in 2021, the night before the Capitol riot. Sources told the AP and NBC News the suspect is a man, his name now released in this new press conference we're about to listen to, Brian Cole Jr. He was arrested early this morning, though officials have not really, again, that's, sorry, a little out of date here what I'm reading, but again, officials just now releasing his name. The pipe bombs, which the FBI has said, quote, could have been lethal, were discovered hours before rioters stormed the Capitol. 4 years. Investigators struggled to identify the person seen in surveillance footage, and we actually have that surveillance footage and can show that to you. Take a look. Here's a look at some of the video. You're about to see a man walk up. He goes to the bench. That is what police say is Brian Cole Jr., the suspect in this case. There you go. That's what they've had trouble with. Going back here, hundreds of thousands of video files and numerous interviews and tips came into the FBI. The FBI had also raised the award in 2023 from $100,000 to $500,000, yet there was no information that came about. The case had become the subject of conspiracy theories from some Republican and right-wing media, including now FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, who previously suggested the bombing might have been, quote, an inside job involving a, quote, massive cover-up. Since joining the Bureau in March, Bongino has emphasized the investigation as a top priority, writing last month that, quote, we brought in new personnel to take a look at the case. We dramatically increased investigative resources, and we increased the public award for information in the case to utilize crowdsourcing leads. So again, you see that video they're showing who police have arrested today. The suspect, they're now identifying his name as Brian Cole Jr. A little earlier in the day, a press conference was held by DOJ and FBI officials. Take a listen.
Executed, and there could be more charges to come. I'm going to let our U.S. Attorney discuss that shortly. This was the work of multiple agencies working together. This morning's operation was carried out safely and successfully. We know that there are so many issues when you're issuing search warrants. Dangerous things can happen, and this was carried out safely and securely thanks to all of the people standing around me. They have worked tirelessly on this. Today's arrest happened because the Trump administration has made this case a priority. The total lack of movement on this case in our nation's capital undermined the public trust of our enforcement agencies. This cold case languished for 4 years until Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino came to the FBI. The FBI, along with U.S. Attorney Pirro and all of our prosecutors, have worked tirelessly for months, sifting through evidence that had been sitting at the FBI with the Biden administration for 4 long years. Let me be clear, there was no new tip, there was no new witness, just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work, working as a team along with ATF, Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and of course, the FBI. We are working every day to restore the public's trust. We hope that today is a significant step towards that progress. We'll share more information when we can and when it unfolds. I cannot stress enough how hard Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino have worked for months to make our nation's capital safer and to make our country safer. I'd like to introduce now Director Patel.
Thank you, General. When you attack American citizens, when you attack our institutions of legislation, when you attack our nation's capital, you attack the very being of our way of life. And this FBI and this Department of Justice stand here to tell you that we will always refute it and combat it. We will provide the safest country the nation has ever seen under President Trump's leadership here. And that's what we did here today with great resolve on a case of massive public importance, as it should be. An individual who is now alleged to have placed multiple explosive devices to blow up multiple people and multiple officials, innocent civilians, is now arrested thanks to the brave men and women of the FBI and the interagency. I want to take a moment to thank the Metropolitan Police Department, the United States Capitol Police, our brave prosecutors, the Department of Justice, and our leader, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, whose relentless work on this case made this possible. As the Attorney General said, we did not discover any new information. What we did, an investigation spearheaded by the Deputy Director and the ADIC of our Washington field office, brought in a new team of investigators and experts, re-examined every piece of evidence, sifted through all the data, something that the prior administration refused and failed to do. As a result of that, we generated numerous investigative leads, executed multiple legal process with our U.S. attorney partners, and came to this conclusion today. And that is why we were able to safely secure this individual into custody. Remember, we are dealing with an individual who is alleged to have made bombs. We cannot do this sort of takedown in haste because it endangers the lives of law enforcement. And this FBI will never allow the lives of law enforcement and our prosecutors to be put in jeopardy. This execution was flawless in terms of teamwork, resilience, and just a good old-fashioned way of police getting the job done. When you let good cops be cops, this is what happens. I'm eternally grateful to the team behind me, to the leadership at the FBI who made this possible. But I do want to highlight, when I introduced the deputy, he made this case and so many others, including Summer Heat, his priority to come in here and solve the American people. And today, I'm proud to stand here before you and say, we solved it. He will have his day in court. The American public and the world will learn even more information through the legal process, as we have committed under this Attorney General. We are in law enforcement operation in U.S. history, but we are also going to make sure accountability is delivered to its fullest extent, and that happens in the courts of law with our U.S. attorneys and our prosecutors. So we will divulge information when it is prudent and constitutionally permissible, while upholding the safeguards of this case to make sure that the people that this individual intended to victimize get the accountability they deserve, and most importantly, to deliver on President Trump's promise to secure our nation's capital and the rest of the cities in this country, to make sure that Americans are allowed to go out free and securely in their neighborhoods, and that people around the world are allowed to visit our nation's capital, and they now have that trust thanks to the leadership of the FBI, the Washington field office, and I'm honored now to introduce to you Deputy Director Bongino, who spearheaded this investigation.
Thank you all for being here for this critical investigation we've been working on for a very long time. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, Attorney General and Director. I appreciate it. Folks, this is what it's like when you work for a president who tells you to go get the bad guys and stop focusing on other extraneous things not related to law enforcement. This is what happens. We had a great team. I know it's said a lot in this business. It was a team effort. It becomes cliche, but cliches are useful for a reason because they matter. And this was a team effort. The director and the attorney general emphasized that it was not a new public tip this was our internal work at the FBI. And I want to just really express my sincere gratitude to this attorney general and this president for allowing us the latitude. I spoke with Ms. Bondi very early when maybe day 2, and I said, we're going to get this guy. And she said, yes, you are. And we did. I want to also thank, he's not here, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who we deal with often as well, who could not have been more supportive. Whatever process we need, Judge Jeanine, Todd, and Attorney General Bondi, they were there. All you had to do, they were a phone call away. And their team was amazing. We actually never had to make that phone call because they were always responsive. Thank you, Judge, as well. You were amazing. Folks, you're not going to walk into our capital city, put down 2 explosive devices, and walk off in the sunset. Not going to happen. We were going to track this person to the end of the earth. There was no way he was getting away. Well, we didn't have to track him to the end of the earth. It wound up in Woodbridge, Virginia. I want to thank the team. They were amazing. They never let this go. Again, Attorney General Bondi, for your incredible support. Director Patel, Judge, I know they're giving me a lot of unnecessary credit, but make no mistake, they were intimately involved in this and were there for all of those supportive mechanisms, and I deeply appreciate it. The man whose team did the work is the Assistant Director in charge of our Washington field office, Darren Cox. Darren's got some comments, and Darren has some a case he can provide. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Darren Cox. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the Washington field office. Today's arrest of the alleged D.C. pipe bomber is a momentous day for the American public, for the FBI, for our Joint Terrorism Task Force, or the JTTF, and our partners, the U.S. Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and ATF. We've also had a large number of other federal, state, and local departments that have worked on this investigation. And last but not least, the U.S. Attorney's Office. We all worked hand in hand to solve this investigation. This has been a long week in D.C. After the terrorist attack last week, the grit and determination of the FBI and our law enforcement partners is an example to the American public of what cooperation, partnership, and selfless service can accomplish. The amount of effort the FBI and our partners devoted to identifying the pipe bomber cannot be overstated. It is the resolve and determination of our investigators that ultimately led to the identification and the arrest of this suspect. We all know pipe bombs are dangerous, not because of the potential loss of life, damage to injury that they can cause, but also because they are tools that terrorize our community. Fortunately, these bombs did not explode, although they certainly could have. But make no mistake, the alleged pipe bomber did terrorize our community. Today's actions underscore the long memory and the long reach of the FBI and our partners. I know some people had given up on finding the perpetrator, but not the FBI and not our partners. We do not forget, we do not give up, and we do not relent. Though it had been nearly 5 years, our team continued to churn through massive amounts of data and tips that we used to identify this suspect. I want to thank and Deputy Director Bongino for their leadership and for providing us the resources and the personnel to reevaluate all of the data that we had. We dove into more than 3 million lines of data to come up with this suspect. Director Patel, Deputy Director Bongino, thank you for your support, thank you for your passion, and thank you for your investment in this investigation. From me, on behalf of the investigative Washington field office and all of our partners, thank you. I'd also like to thank Judge Pirro. Judge, your team and you are absolutely amazing. You're the type of prosecutors and U.S. attorney that all across the country want to work with. They're hard-nosed and they're aggressive, and thank you for that. The American public for providing tips and leads, not just on this case, but every day on cases across the country that are enforcement. And finally, I want to commend all of the members of the Washington field office, and most specifically, the investigative team. Their diligence and persistence led to this arrest today, and they are absolutely but every case they work. So thank you, Washington field office. Last, I will say our work is not done. The FBI will continue to pursue every lead and use every resource that we have to ensure that the D.C. pipe bomber is brought to justice. Thank you.
You keep hearing the words partnership and team. And that's what we are. And we could not do this without our U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine, from day one, has worked tirelessly for our country and for our nation's capital. It's my honor to introduce my friend, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. And you have been listening to a lot of thank yous and a lot of gratitude. The reason that we're thanking each other to the extent that we are today is because we have seen in this case an incredible collaboration around the clock, in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter. We call each other, we make contact, they need a warrant, they need something, someone wants legal advice. These are the men and women who never give it up. You hear about government employees, but I don't know if you really realize what it is that they do. They are incredible, and this case is big. 4 years, 10 months, and 28 days ago, an individual placed a bomb in the vicinity of both the RNC and the DNC. And for that amount of time, that individual evaded accountability. Today, as a result of the cumulative efforts of the men and women in the FBI and the police department and the Department of Justice, we are finally able to make an arrest of an individual by the name of Brian Cole. As the Attorney General has indicated, he is arrested for transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce, as well as the attempted malicious destruction by means of explosive materials. You know, folks, this case involved millions of pieces of data. And it is a huge win because it was like finding a needle in a haystack. So much of this evidence was very specific, but a lot of it was also very general. For example, there were 233,000 end caps of the type that were used in this case. I want you to think about the fact that the FBI had to go through the sale of every one of them. An individual, along with the purchase of the pipe itself, the cap ends, the wires, the steel, and the 9-volt batteries. Every one of those had to be mined and remined to the point where we were able to then connect. And make no mistake, it was this administration, it was this president who made the decision that we were going to use all of our efforts to get it done, and get it done they did. Finally, let me say this. Today begins the formal process of accountability, where this defendant will begin his journey through the criminal justice system. And I pledge to you that the United States Attorney's Office will take this case across the finish line. Again, thank you to the incredible work of the FBI, to the Attorney General, and to our local partners as well. This is a job that I think was well done.
Thank you. President Trump's directive to all of us was to not only make America safe again, but D.C., and to make it safe and beautiful. We could not have done that without our partnership with Mayor Bowser and Chief Smith.
All right, you have been continuing to listen into a press conference from just moments ago, really last hour, in the District of Columbia on this arrest made in the pipe bomb case that lasted nearly 5 years. The suspect's name has been identified. This is a look live at the scene of Brian Cole Jr.'s home in Woodbridge, Virginia. He was arrested early this morning. The pipe bombs, which the FBI is now saying that could have been lethal, they were discovered hours before rioters had stormed the Capitol. Now, for years, again, investigators struggled to put a lead on this. You saw there in that press conference, they say there was no new leads, no new information, just simply the work of the FBI and law enforcement and a team. They kind of blamed there not being a suspect found on the Biden administration earlier on the Biden administration's FBI. So we'll have to watch and see how this all plays out. It was my understanding he was going to have a court hearing today. Not sure where that stands right now and where things are on that. Brookland News Live is going to sneak in a quick break here. More to come when we come back. We're going to break down a lot of the headlines still ongoing and take you to the live feeds of events happening around you. Brookland News Live returns in just a moment. Welcome back into Brooklyn News, a live look at that RDOT camera here in Brooklyn as we continue to monitor the road conditions, where things stand on all of that, all of the weather. We were just talking about it last hour. We'll continue to monitor that. As I said, I want to take you to another story we are following right now, and that is on this admiral who testified in front of Congress today. To bring you up to speed, that is the admiral there on your screen. The drama here centering on this controversial September 2nd military strike by U.S. forces on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean, an attack that killed 11 people, followed by a second missile strike that reportedly killed 2 survivors. This is where it connects to the man there on your screen. Admiral Frank M. Bradley, the Navy admiral, the White House is saying, order the follow-up strike. He's giving a classified briefing to top congressional lawmakers. He did that a little earlier today. He spoke to congressional members. We are going to play a video now from Tom Cotton, the Republican senator from Arkansas, as he addressed this all. As he addressed this all again, this is Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas. 1 second, getting that put up for you guys. Wrong one. There we go. Okay, this is Tom Cotton earlier today. Take a look.
About the strikes on September 2nd, which were righteous strikes. These are narco-terrorists who are trafficking drugs that are destined for the United States to kill thousands of Arkansans and millions of Americans. The first strike, the second strike, and the third and the fourth strike on September 2nd were entirely lawful and needful, and they were exactly what we would expect our military commanders to do.
What exactly did you see in terms of the video of the second strike? Were there survivors?
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover them and recover those narco-terrorists. And just like you would blow up a boat off of the Somali coast or the Yemeni coast, and you'd come back and strike it again if it still had terrorists and it still had explosives or missiles, Admiral Bradley and Secretary Head said that exactly what we would expect them to do.
Did Congressman Hines said it's one of the most disturbing things he's seen in his career. Did that match
Who
up
did?
with what you...
No, I didn't see anything disturbing about it. What's disturbing to me is that millions of Americans have died from drugs being run to America by these cartels. What's gratifying to me...
Tom Cotton there, the Republican senator from Arkansas there, speaking on to reporters on Capitol Hill there, talking about what all of this means, kind of what the testimony was given, what was about. Of course, he was involved in that classified hearing that Admiral Bradley gave earlier today. He said he saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat and load it with drugs. That is a paraphrased quote there from the Republican senator. Want to give you a little more context on this. We had expected him, officials at least, had expected him to testify and argue that the survivors were still legitimate targets. Let's hear what we're hearing Tom Cotton say, because they allegedly remained on the damaged vessel with illegal narcotics and might have attempted to resume trafficking. Critics, including legal experts and bipartisan members of Congress, say the second strike may have broken and violated U.S. and international law, potentially amounting to the war crime. He testified, Admiral Frank M. Bradley, in that classified hearing today. There's that image of him once again on your screen right there. Showing you, this is who Pete Hegseth yesterday, just in the cabinet, 2 days ago now, I believe, in that cabinet meeting, talking about it, saying it was Admiral Bradley. The press secretary also saying it was Admiral Bradley who authorized it. Pete Hegseth saying he was within his roles to do exactly that. So, again, very, very interesting, and we are going to stick with this story. It is one that has caught the eye and the attention from a lot of people. We do want to turn now to another story we're following right now. Earlier on Capitol Hill, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries delivered a press conference. Again, this is earlier on Capitol Hill. Let's listen in.
An 8-week taxpayer-funded vacation while shutting the government down and hurting the American people. During that taxpayer-funded vacation, House Republicans didn't do a single thing to make life better for the American people. We've been back now in session legislatively for 2 weeks, and yet they still have not produced a bill to drive down the high cost of living, to address the Republican health care crisis, or to make life better for everyday Americans. It's clear to us that House Republicans have no intention to do anything other than continue to drive down right-wing extremism through the throats of the American people. House Republicans promised, along with Donald Trump, that they were going to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down in the United States of America. Costs are going up. Housing costs, through the roof. Electricity bills, through the roof. Grocery costs, through the roof. And now, as a result of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of people are on the verge of experiencing dramatically increased health care costs that will either push them into medical bankruptcy or prevent them from being able to go see a doctor when they need one. And yet we still see nothing from the Republican Party as it relates to addressing the health care crisis that they've created, because they're too busy fighting each other and spending time trying to find different ways to reward their billionaire donors. The American people deserve better. You deserve better. And House Democrats are going to continue to fight to lower the high cost of living, to fix our broken health care system, and to clean up corruption so we can deliver a country that actually works for working class Americans. Questions?
Good afternoon, thank you. They had to pull this NIL bill House floor this week. Two things. Can you speak to what that means on an issue like that is seemingly bipartisan? And number two, does it seem like that the issue of addressing college sports and money in college sports is a bipartisan issue, but this is now veering off into partisan territory, and that's why Congress can't legislate on this?
It's not that Congress can't legislate, it's that House Republicans can't legislate. It's the gang that can't legislate straight. These are individuals who continue to take a my way or the highway approach. First of all, what exactly was the rationale to bring a bill related to college sports to the floor this week at the same time that Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits? Shouldn't we put the health care of the American people first, particularly when the votes clearly don't even exist to bring the so-called SCORE Act to the floor? The question that a lot of people are asking this week related to the SCORE Act legislation is who exactly directed Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise to bring this bill to the floor this week? Was it the big donors connected to LSU? That legislation would not have benefited college athletes. It would hurt college athletes. Take away the antitrust exemption. It would preempt the ability of states to actually pass legislation that promotes the health, the safety, and the well-being of their own college students. It would take away legal rights to seek redress. The organized labor unions across the country were strongly opposed because it undermined the ability of college athletes. It undermined their freedom to negotiate, took away collective bargaining rights. And of course, the players' associations across every sports league, led by the NFL Players Association, were opposed to it because they concluded when evaluating the bill on the merits that it would actually hurt college athletes, not help them. Why would Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise think it was a good idea to bring the Lane Kiffin Protection Act to the floor of the House of Representatives? Legislation that would do nothing to benefit college athletes and everything to benefit coaches like Lane Kiffin, who got out of town, abandoned his players in the middle of a playoff run to go get a $100 million contract from LSU, the home state of Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise. People are asking the question, why did you decide to bring this bill this week with all the other issues that the country is demanding that we focus on, led by the affordability crisis that they claim is a scam and a hoax, but that the American people know is very real?
This morning, a bipartisan group of members led by Gottheimer and Kiggins announced a framework which, if the Democrats decided to back it, would have enough Republican votes in the House. Are you encouraging Senator Schumer to look at other options as opposed to the 3-year clean extension that he currently announced, which is not expected to get 60 votes in the Senate?
The path forward that has the greatest number of votes in both the House and the Senate is a 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Time has run out. Republicans have been promising all year that they were going to get to addressing the health care crisis that they themselves have created. But clearly, they've had no intention to do anything about keeping health care affordable, beginning with extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. This is December. The tax credits expire at the end of this month. What has taken so long? We started to raise this issue with great urgency in the spring, while Republicans were trying to jam the one big ugly bill down the throats of the American people. They somehow found the time to enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, cut $186 billion from SNAP, the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, and then with great urgency, these Republican extremists enacted massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors, and skyrocketed the debt by more than $3 trillion. And they made those massive tax breaks permanent. And now there's no viable path forward that Republicans in the House or the Senate have put forth to address the fact that the Affordable Care Act tax credits are expiring. I mean, the time has long passed to do anything other than move forward with the legislation that will be triggered by the discharge petition that House Democrats have filed that has every single House Democrat on it, 214, which means all we need are 4 House Republicans. Out of 219, we only need 4 to join us. And we can get this legislation onto the floor and out of the House. And I'm thankful for the leadership that Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats are showing in triggering an up or down vote on a 3-year extension in the Senate. And the American people will see which party supports the health care of hardworking American taxpayers, that would be Democrats, and which party is continuing to break our health care system, that would be the GOP.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Earlier this year, you said that your relationship with Speaker Johnson was, I believe, productive and forward-looking. A lot has happened since then with the shutdown and everything. I'm just curious if your relationship has evolved at all throughout the year and how you would characterize it now.
It's evolved and not necessarily in a constructive direction. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Just curious, why 3 years on the ACA tax credits? I mean, doesn't that seem kind of unrealistic, for being honest? And wouldn't the bipartisan efforts that she mentioned in the House, like the Common Ground framework, be a little bit more realistic path forward in regards to addressing the healthcare issue?
It's my understanding that the Common Ground framework has the support perhaps of a handful of members of the House of Representatives, less than 10, as far as I can tell. Now, we're open to having good faith discussions with any House Republican who's serious about extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. But the House Republican leadership is not. They've repeatedly said they have no interest in addressing the Affordable Care Act tax credit issue. In fact, Donald Trump and his administration were apparently prepared to put forth a proposal that Mike Johnson and House Republican leaders detonated because they have no interest in keeping health care affordable. The legislation that has the greatest amount of support in the Congress right now, both House and Senate, is a clean 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We believe that the American people deserve a similar level of certainty that Republicans provided to their billionaire donors when they made those massive tax breaks permanent in the One Big Ugly Bill.
Thank you. Given recent interactions between President Trump and female members of the press, calling them picky, ugly, stupid, do you have any concerns about the tone or treatment of journalists so far? And what is your overall view on the role of free press in America?
Well, the tone that has consistently been adopted by Donald Trump toward members of the free and fair press, generally and specifically, most recently, directed at female reporters, is disgusting. It's unbecoming of a president. It's unconscionable, unacceptable, and un-American. And this is part of the reason why Donald Trump's approval rating is at 36%. The American people know that Donald Trump and Republican control of the House and the Senate has been a disaster for them. And instead of actually focusing on the issues that matter, like driving down the high cost of living or fixing our broken health care system, continue to engage in personal attacks against folks, ad hominem assaults on the character of individuals who are just doing their jobs. Now, in our democracy, it's clear. We have a legislative branch, the House and the Senate, separate and co-equal. We're supposed to provide a check and balance on an out-of-control executive branch. James Madison, in fact, one of the original framers of the Constitution, said that at its best, Congress should be a rival to the executive branch. But that's not what Republicans have done. These people are not rivals. They are a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. got the Article 2 executive branch, we got the Article 3 judiciary. But, of course, connected to the fabric of our democracy is the free and fair press. And Donald Trump, of course, is behaving more like a wannabe king who's uninterested in the scrutiny that comes from being part of American democracy. Part of that scrutiny is the Congress, part of that scrutiny is the judiciary, and part of that scrutiny, of course, should always be the free and fair press.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Going back to the Speaker Johnson, the reconciliation law, you know, he said he told reporters this morning that Americans will start feeling the relief from that bill next year, and some of the affordability concerns that they have now will start to subside. I know you've been critical of the Medicaid cuts, the SNAP cuts, but I'm curious how you and House Democrats will speak about some of those working class provisions that they point to, whether it's on tips, overtime, Social Security, auto loan, interest. How are you all thinking about speaking to the American people about those particular provisions that it seems will be core to the Republicans' message next year about affordability?
Yeah, House Republicans have no issue as it relates to affordability. They believe that the affordability crisis in the country is a hoax and a scam. That's what their leader has said, Donald Trump, who says he's both the president and the speaker. At the same time, Donald Trump's words, not mine. They don't plan to address the high cost of living in this country because they don't even believe that it exists. Now, the interesting thing is that I agree that the American people will continue to feel the impact of the one big ugly bill that Republicans jam down their throats. But it's going to be an adverse impact because hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health centers are going to continue to close as a result of Republicans enacting the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Electricity bills are skyrocketing because of the Republican attack on the clean energy economy. Clean energy is cheaper energy, but they gutted those provisions of the tax code. Republicans did so they could reward big oil and their donors. But as a result, the American people are seeing their electricity bills skyrocket. And then, of course, if you rip $186 billion from SNAP, which Republicans did in their one big ugly bill, they're going to cause everyday Americans to go hungry. We're talking about 42 million people, 16 million children who are going to be hurt by what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill, 8 million older Americans, and over 1 million veterans who rely on SNAP. And so the adverse impact, the harm that Republicans have done to the American people, actually, we're just scratching the surface in terms of the hurt that everyday Americans will experience. And then we have the ongoing Trump tariffs, which, of course, in real time are increasing costs on the American people by thousands of dollars per year. And the American people know it in terms of what they're paying now for groceries and for goods. The American people are concerned about the fact that housing is totally out of control, healthcare is totally out of control, childcare is totally out of control, and Republicans have no plan to deal with any of it. Donald Trump is fighting with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is fighting with the House Republican Conference. Corey Mills is fighting with Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is fighting with Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is fighting with Elise Stefanik. Elise Stefanik is fighting with Lisa McClain. The whole thing is a mess. The 119th Congress has turned into a bad episode of Republicans Gone Wild. And here's the problem. Republicans are so busy fighting each other, they can't be bothered to fight for the American people. Big difference between us and them. House Democrats are going to continue to fight for you to drive down the high cost of living and to fix our broken healthcare system. Yep, you got it.
Okay. Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso got his name
for Rep. Velasquez's spot for next Congress. He's a Brooklyn guy, you're a Brooklyn guy. Do you talk to him yet? And at what point do you start really focusing on 2026?
Yeah, I have not had a conversation with Borough President Reynoso. I did note with great interest that he decided to jump in the race. He's a well-respected public servant. I have no plans to get involved in the 7th Congressional District race at this time or perhaps at any time.
Two-pronged here. One, are we hearing on the possibility that, quite frankly, nothing is going to be done on health care? I mean, is that kind of your operating assumption? And if so, are you basically, is this whole scenario proving you true from shutdown? And two, if there was a vote of no confidence in Johnson, which is certainly much more of a live wire than it was a couple weeks ago, what would you tell your members to do?
Well, we'd have to have that discussion in terms of what House Democrats might do to the extent there is such a vote. But clearly, nothing that the Speaker of the House has done over the last several months has endeared himself to Democrats in the Congress.
Congresswoman Luna has filed a discharge petition earlier this week that would force a vote on the stock trading ban bill that Congressman Magaziner, Congressman Roy have been working on. Do you anticipate supporting that, and would you anticipate Democrats probably supporting that?
Well, we haven't had a caucus-wide conversation about the best path forward, but there's overwhelming support for the legislation to ban congressional stock trading. It is long past time that that is done. I think part of the challenge, again, is that Mike Johnson apparently said he's got zero interest in moving the legislation that is actually bipartisan, led by Chip Roy and Seth Magaziner. Mike Johnson, zero interest in banning congressional stock trading. So we'll evaluate the different vehicles moving forward, and I look forward to having a conversation with many of the stakeholders over the next few days into the early part of next week, including Seth and Pramila and Alex, as well as, of course, Joe Morelli, the top Democrat on the House Administration Committee, to figure out the best path forward. We want to clean up corruption in this institution, in the Supreme Court, and also as it relates to the administration. I think one of the challenges that some members have raised directly with me about the Anna Paulina Luna approach is that apparently she's unwilling to prohibit stock trading within the Trump administration. Unwilling to prohibit stock trading as it relates to Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, or cabinet secretaries like the Treasury Secretary. That's kind of extraordinary to me, since they have concentrated executive power. We definitely have to deal with the issue of members of Congress trading stock. It should be banned. But it also seems to many of us, at the same period of time, there's got to be a path forward to banning stock trading within the administration. I think Donald Trump literally just purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars of stock in Warner Brothers when his administration is in the middle of a merger review.
Hakeem Jeffries there continuing to speak. We want to turn to some more news that we're getting in right now. Take a look there. This is moments ago in Vandenberg, California. SpaceX Elon Musk's company is launching 28 Starlink satellites on Falcon 9. Let's listen in. Okay, not a lot of noise there. Thought we might get some audio from, usually they have commentators at these events, but that's fine. We'll talk over it. Starlink, something that's been providing internet, and if I push out just a little bit, I might be able to here. Give me just a moment so we can actually see the time on the screen. There we go. There's the time on the screen for you. It shows you T+6 seconds now as you see that Falcon 9 rocket launching 28 Starlink satellites into space. We're going to watch it here for just a moment. Don't think we still don't have any audio. Thought we might. Usually they have commentators for these events, as I was just noting. This is in Vandenberg, California, where this is all ongoing. This is something that happens pretty often for SpaceX. We've actually been on the air, I believe, for a few Brooklyn News Live editions when something like this has happened. So let's continue to watch here now. T plus 40 plus seconds there as you see the Falcon 9 rocket continuing to take into the sky as they launch into space. So cool to see things like this, especially for someone, our viewers who are into aviation. This is really fascinating to see how quickly and how modernized things have turned, that we're able to launch something, that SpaceX is able to launch something to space. And like that Starlink, something very modernized as well. It's providing internet across the nation, across the world, I believe, through satellite, in space, through satellites in space. So pretty fascinating how that all works. Again, this all just moments ago in Vandenberg, California. SpaceX launching 28 Starlink satellites on Falcon 9, that rocket you're seeing here. We will continue to monitor that. As you see it, they're continuing to go into sky. I'm sorry, Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, was just taking questions moments ago. Want to bring you to something we're watching here. This is over on the Senate floor. They were having a little bit of argument here just a few moments ago. It looks like they have actually adjourned within the last few moments for the day, so we don't have that feed anymore. Apologies about that there. We'll keep our eyes on, again, this SpaceX launching rockets into the sky. Pretty big news there as we continue to watch there. Again, SpaceX launching 28 Starlink satellites on Falcon 9 there. We'll continue to keep our eyes peeled on that, just like every other story that's ongoing. I want to talk a little bit about the House and Senate. We will do that when we come back after this. A few minute break. I don't know how long. We'll see how it goes. Welcome back into Brooklyn News Live. I'm Jackson Mitchell. So good to be with you all as we are continuing our coverage on this edition, Thursday edition of Brooklyn News Live. Here we're close to the end of the week and we are monitoring a lot of stories. Let's talk a little about giving you an update on Capitol Hill. We were just watching House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries speaking there from Capitol Hill. There's a live look there. It comes as the House and Senate both adjourning for the day. The House really has been quiet, though the Senate has kind of they've been in session kind of approving a few judges, federal judges and things of that nature. We were just watching a little bit of argument also before they adjourned really a few moments ago. This all follows a major legislative action scheduled coming up on the American Affordable Care Act subsidies extension vote coming up in the Senate on sometime next week. Senator Schumer said it would be Tuesday. Then he said, wait, no, there's no date actually scheduled yet. This follows a busy Tuesday, 2 days ago now, where lawmakers in the House passed several bills related to China, small business regulations, and federal contract reforms. Meanwhile, the Senate again bracing for that contentious shutdown over extending Affordable Care Act tax credits. A vote expected sometime next week. This could all affect millions of Americans' insurance premiums. These GOP divisions, though, are deepening as moderates press for compromise, while fiscal conservatives push back, raising question about whether the bill can clear the chamber. Senate leaders are also exploring whether to attach a bipartisan housing package to the year-end defense bill, adding another layer of negotiations as the deadline approaches. So again, so much going on in the House and in the Senate. The big news, though, coming up next week for the Senate, where they are expected to vote on the Affordable Care Act subsidies. To provide a little bit of context about all of this, the funding bill that ended the longest ever government shutdown back a few weeks ago was only passed by by some of these Democrats because it was a promise by Senate Republican leadership that they would bring a vote on ACA subsidies, the Affordable Care Act subsidies that are going to end at the end of this year, up to vote in the Senate. There is no promise by Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, that he will bring it up for a vote in the House, though. But again, this is going to come up for a vote sometime next week in the Senate. The question is, can it pass? Republicans, when they went ahead and when Senate leadership promised this, they didn't say that they were going to promise Republican backing and for it to pass in the Senate. So now that's the question. Where do things go on this? Does it pass? And what do things look like here? So we are going to continue monitoring that story in the Senate. It is a very important one because Democrats are saying that if they do not get Affordable Care Act subsidies passed, it will rise insurance premiums for millions of Americans. So again, just a big story that Brooklyn News is going to keep our eyes on there on Capitol Hill. So we'll watch it here. Senate Democrats, we're just talking about them. They spoke a little earlier. Chuck Schumer and Senate leadership speaking earlier on Capitol Hill. Let's listen in. Okay, it appears that there is some early feed trouble here. We'll see if they can get it worked out for us. As soon as they do, we'll listen in here. Apologies about that. Here's what we'll do. We'll come back over to this live shot on Capitol Hill as we wait again for that feed there to get worked out. Here we go. Feed is worked out now. Let's listen in. This is earlier today. Senate Democrats on Capitol Hill.
And Welch and Lisa Blunt Rochester is on her way. She's voting. Okay, well, we're here. Why are we here? The country is standing on the edge of a healthcare cliff, a cliff Republicans are pushing us towards, and the clock is almost out. 27 days. That's all the time Americans have before ACA premiums expire and health care costs explode in every state, city, and locality of the country. The Senate Republicans can avoid this now. The Senate can vote to pass our legislation, plain and simple, and save American thousands. Republicans caused this problem. They knew this cliff was coming and would only make the pain worse for Americans, yet they've chosen to do nothing, absolutely nothing. They are nowhere. They don't even have a proposal. and the American people are running out of time. So today I'm announcing that Senate Democrats will introduce legislation for a 3-year clean extension of the current ACA tax credits. This bill, a clean year 3 extension of the ACA tax credits that Democrats will bring to the floor for a vote on Thursday, and every single Democrat will support it. Every single Democrat. That means Republicans have only 1 week to decide where they stand. Are they going to vote for this bill and bring health care costs down for the American people, or block this bill and send premiums skyrocketing on January the 1st? That's what's at stake. This is one of the most important votes we're going to have in this whole Congress, because right now Republicans, even a small number of them, 7 of them, could vote yes and avoid the health care cliff that so many Americans are so worried about, that millions of American families are staying up and can't sleep at night because they don't know what they're going to do. Republicans have no plan to deal with this crisis. No plan. And make no mistake, the vote is the last chance before January 1st to avoid the crisis they caused and bring relief to the American people. They have no unity. They have no consensus. They don't even have concepts. You got one Republican saying this, another Republican saying that. It's amazing. They have nothing in the most major issue affecting the American people, and they can't get their act together. Democrats are fighting to lower health care costs. Republicans are fighting with one another. They're so busy fighting one another that they're not helping the American people. For months, they spent their energy trying to kick low-income families off their coverage, pushing poison pills that ban abortion, floating one-time checks that wouldn't even cover a single month of premiums, let alone 12 months. And families, as we know, are paying more. Republicans want to hand them the few Republicans who have this payment plan want to hand them a Band-Aid while premiums jump $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month. So, a one-time check's not health care. It won't stop January's premium shock. If Republicans block our bill, there's no do-over. Premiums go up January 1st, period, and the premiums are like a hammer blow to the American people. You all know the numbers. Couples nearing retirement making $85,000 a year could pay $30,000 more in states like Maine, Alaska, Montana, and Tennessee. 24 million Americans will see their premiums double. Americans living with chronic illness will suffer. Real communities will be devastated. Even families with employer coverage. They say, well, I'm covered by my employer. Ask your friends who work for companies like that. They're already getting notice of higher bills because it's affecting everybody. So, Senate Democrats are united. We're clear-eyed about the consequences. We are ready to vote. Senator Lujan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Leader. Well, it's good to see everyone here today, and I want to thank Leader Schumer for bringing us together. Look, this is about affordability. What Republicans are doing right now is they really don't give a damn how expensive health care is going to be for the American people. Plain and simple. Republicans had an opportunity to work with Democrats to get real legislation, real policy included that would extend these tax credits to make health care more affordable for millions of people across the country. They chose not to. And it's no surprise, Republicans for the last, 10 years or more, have voted over 70 times to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, to repeal it. You all remember their calling call, we're going to repeal and replace. And that wasn't so popular with the American people on polling, so Republicans, they just said they were going to repeal first, right? And then it was repeal and replace. Well, they never did it. What does that mean to folks? President Trump brought junk plans back, making it okay for the American people to buy some insurance plan even if they had some chronic disease like cancer, to buy insurance that covers everything but the cancer. one gimmick after another, making things more expensive to the American people. And as Leader Schumer said, look, this isn't just about people across the country that are going to benefit from these tax credits directly. This is going, if Republicans don't come to the table to extend these tax credits, we all know that insurance is getting more expensive for everyone, including everyone in this room. This is impacting the entire market. Some constituents over Thanksgiving chatted with me that they were excited to read that they were going to get a cost of living adjustment in their Social Security, and then they got sticker shock when the Medicare cost came, and it ate up what they saw with the COLA and some. Over Thanksgiving, people were getting an idea of what health insurance was going to cost. More sticker shock. They were back at the desk on Monday trying to figure things out if they were going to be able to afford it. It's one problem after another. And then to boot, in the big, beautiful bill, Republicans cut all of the federal tax dollars with Medicaid. There's rural health clinics across the country that already announced that they're going to be closing. I mean, this is just one kick in the face after another that Republicans are delivering. I'm going to close with this. You all know that I've been chatting about it more and more and more about that stroke that I survived 3 years ago. I don't know how many of you have been in a hospital bed worrying about getting better. But when you're sick and you might die, all you should be worried about is getting better. Not what happens if you're going to lose your house because you can't afford the damn bill that's going to come after you get better, if you're fortunate to. This is absolutely wrong for Republicans to be lying to the American people and not stepping forward. If they want to come up with reforms, put them on the table. They've had time. Let's get these things extended. The bill that Leader Schumer's talking about has Republican support in the House. They've introduced their own bill. There's support to get this done and get it to the president. I hope and I pray that my Republican colleagues will do the right thing. There's no reason that they can't join us. Get this done. Do it on a voice vote, for God's sakes. Get this done. Tell the American people before Christmas, you're going to be okay. We care about you. We're not going to kick you in the face one more time. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend from Vermont, Peter Welch.
Thank you very much. You know, we have a healthcare crisis in this country. This country pays the most and gets the least. Literally, we pay about 2 times more than like European countries or Canada, and our healthcare outcomes are not as good, which is not to say we don't have great care, but it is getting unaffordable. We've got a calendar that is relentlessly ticking away, and unless we extend these tax credits so that people can continue to have the same health care in 2026 that they had in 2025, 24 million Americans are in jeopardy. Leader Schumer brought the Democrats together. We felt it was our responsibility to put a concrete plan on the table that would make certain that Americans across the country did not lose their health care. And Chuck, thank you, because we have 47 votes. We need 13 more. The key to that is going to be whether President Trump wants to engage and bring the parties together to extend these credits. The aspect of this that I find very sad is that the people who are going to suffer are people who are represented by Democrats and by Republicans. It just doesn't matter. These are folks, families, farmers, they need health care. You know, I got a call from a farmer in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. He's a Trump voter. But he said, Peter, I'm paying $900 a month for health care. And if we lose these tax credits, my health care is going to go up to $3,200. And he says, you don't have to worry about me anymore because my family's dropping health care. Well, I do care about him. We all care about him. And that's why Leader Schumer brought the Democrats together to put on the table a concrete plan. We don't have anything in response. And, you know, we often get in the blame game around here, but the one group that cannot be blamed are the Americans who are going to be losing their health care. They have no power to address this. So the Schumer plan here is a concrete proposal that would give security to folks in Vermont, and I'm going to be going to Nebraska and Iowa in my capacity as the ranking member of the Rural Subcommittee on Rural America and the Ag Committee. But I'm going to be talking to farmers out there who are going to be saying the same thing as that Northeast Kingdom farmer said to me. We want to protect the health care that families in this country have. And that includes Republicans, it includes Democrats, it includes independents. So we've got a concrete plan. We've had no response. And that means we're just going to abandon families and businesses and Americans who are going to lose in 2026 what they had in 2025. We've got to pass this bill.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
That'll be
I
all.
turn it over to Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Thank
my
you.
colleague.
Thank you. First, thank you, Leader Schumer, for inviting me to participate. It's really good to be here with two senators who I had the honor of serving with on the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House. We did a lot of good work on prescription drugs, health disparities, and a whole host of other issues. And as I stand here, I'm literally thinking and watching the clock in front of me tick. The clock is ticking. Time is running out. There is a sense of urgency for those of us who are standing up here. And so I know the leader would say he doesn't consider this his plan. He considers this the American plan, that we do something. And I will tell you, as was said by my colleagues, I come from the state of Delaware. And anyone who knows Delaware knows that we are urban, suburban, rural, and coastal. We have farmers. We have small businesses. We have environmental justice communities that are impacted, even by CAFE standards. And so I will tell you, yesterday, when I was looking at my television and seeing our Republican colleagues at the White House, what I thought they were announcing was a health care plan. I was shocked that what they were announcing was something that would make us less healthy. And so as I stand here today, I think about the years of my work in this space of health. I served as Deputy Secretary of Health and Social Services in Delaware and got to see the impact of health care. I served as head of state personnel, so I saw health care from an employer perspective and how much it costs and how do you keep people healthy. I served as CEO of the Urban League, so I got to see health disparities and how in this country, as rich as we are, we have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. So health care to me is a basic necessity. It's what drove me to run in 2016 and what I fought for. And times it's sort of like history is repeating itself or rhyming. Because I came in, Donald Trump was president. Republicans had the House and the Senate. And as was said, there were calls for repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act. What we recognize is that the Affordable Care Act is not perfect. But one thing I do know is that that family who has somebody with a pre-existing condition like asthma or diabetes is grateful. That parent who has a kid who's 22 or 23 is grateful. And so what we're saying here is very simple. We have an immediate problem, an immediate crisis, an immediate cliff, and we need to take immediate action. And that's why we're proposing the 3-year time frame to allow us to also work with our Republican colleagues to make the substantial changes that we need to make us a healthier country and to make sure that we have a healthcare system that's working for all of us. I came up here with a whole bunch of notes and really didn't use any of them because it's really that basic. It's really that simple. We're proposing something that will help right now while we also give time
to work together. I have stories of Delawareans, as my colleagues do, small business owners, rideshare drivers, young people who are concerned. For the first time, I had a resource fair. For the first time, people were lined up hugging me, saying, please help us. Please. And so we stand up here on behalf of the hardworking families. And we also stand up here to say, for anyone, including the president, to say that this is a Democratic hoax. Right now, people are looking in their email and in their mailboxes, and they have the receipts. It's happening now, and we need to act now. And so I thank you, Leader Schumer, for your leadership. I'm fortunate that I had the opportunity to also work with Senator Wyden on legislation, the Protecting Patients and Affordable Care Act, that focuses on not just the 3 years, but it is in tandem with this to make sure that some of the harmful things that were already done this year through the Big Beautiful Bill and through regulation are pulled back so that people, again, don't fall off a cliff, and that we're making sure that they're able to navigate this system. Again, I'm glad to be standing here before you, but I'll be happier when we pass this legislation. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. Questions on this subject? Yes.
Good afternoon, thank you. Are you concerned that Republicans have this idea that Obamacare was quote the fault of the Democrats, that there's problems with Obamacare, that's why it needs this subsidy? 3 of the 4 of you voted for this in either the House or the Senate before, and that therefore they rely on that as a crutch to say, oh, this shows why Obamacare is broken, and therefore we don't have to do anything.
Shows you how out of touch they are. 55% of people who voted for Trump in November of 2024 support extending the credits. 55% of Trump voters. The Republicans are so much in a bubble. They're so out of touch. They don't understand the anguish and concern of the American people. Yes.
Could I add one thing to that, Chuck?
Sure, sure.
I also want to remind us that the disproportionate amount of people who are impacted by these tax credits not going into place are from red states.
Yep.
Right. Many of those states didn't expand
Here, look at the
Medicaid. And that's why many of them are the ones that are going to be impacted. So this isn't a Democratic thing. This is an American problem right now.
It's overwhelmingly supported by people in all parties, including Trump voters. Yes.
Over the last couple of days, there are a number of House Democrats that have presented framework, both bipartisan and the New Dems. Have you had conversations with House leadership about getting everyone on board in the House? I know you said that Democrats in the Senate.
Bottom line is the first thing that has to happen is to avoid the calamity that's going to happen is the 13 Republicans need to vote with us on this bill. As for whatever House proposals there are, we'll always look at something. But I don't even see 15 Republicans supporting it right now. You have the Republicans having no plan, no unity. They're busy fighting with each other. Sure, an individual or 2 or 3 people can say this or that. It's not going to solve the problem. Yes.
You have talked about Trump being the key to all of this, and in the past have said that you would call him when the time is right. Do you think maybe the time now calls for a direct phone call to President Trump?
Trump calls this a hoax. What Trump ought to do is talk to the Republican senators and say, vote for this proposal. That's the way to solve the problem. That's just about the only way to solve the problem before the January 1st deadline. Then, I mean, look at it. They don't even have a plan. They don't even have 2 plans they're divided about.
Okay, I
They're
hate to
all over
interrupt
the
because
lot.
I know we all love the freedom of press and the questions that are being asked, but we do have some breaking news we want to turn to right now. We are taking a look at some live video that's just coming into us from Fox's local station there in Washington, D.C. A large FBI presence can be seen outside of Brian Cole Jr.'s house. He is the suspect in this pipe bombing case that occurred back in 2021 in front of the RNC and DNC headquarters. To bring you up to speed, we talked about it a little earlier in the show, but if you're just joining us, of course, this is all just coming in. The FBI today making its first arrest in the nearly 5-year investigation into what planted these pipe bombs near the DNC, which is the Democratic National Committee, and RNC likewise there. Before the Capitol riot. That was on January 5th of 2021. Sources told the AP that this suspect was Brian Cole Jr. Of course, that was later released today at a press conference that we actually watched. Again, a little earlier, the pipe bombs, which the FBI said could have been lethal, they were discovered just hours before the rioters stormed the Capitol. For years, investigators struggled to identify the person seen in surveillance footage, despite hundreds of tips. In a press conference earlier today, they said it wasn't a new tip or any type of new information that came in, rather work from law enforcement and teams of law enforcement that came together to find this suspect. But again, you are taking a look live outside of a breaking news situation that we are watching near Washington, D.C. in Virginia. Again, this is in Woodbridge, Virginia, at the home of Brian Cole Jr., where he was again arrested early this morning. We are continuing to monitor this, and we'll see where things go here. Again, a press conference held earlier today. We have some video we can show you of this suspect. This was the video. Police were having trouble identifying exactly who this was. Take a look here. This is a look at some of that video as it plays out for you. It shows this man appearing to have placed the pipe bomb. This was the video. Police say, well, we don't exactly know who this is just yet. So now we're seeing they have identified the suspect, of course, as Brian Cole Jr. We've been watching a little bit of something ongoing outside of the home of the suspect here, but it hasn't been quite like it is right now when we are seeing dozens of law enforcement at least gathered at this suspect's home. So we are going to continue to monitor this breaking news story. Again, a lot going on there. We'll keep our eyes on this and where things go there and what we learn there. Give me just a moment. We're going to take a break here on Brookland News Live as you continue to take a look outside of that suspect's home. When we come back, we'll talk a little more about new images revealed in the Epstein files. That's in just a moment. and welcome back into Brooklyn News Live. A lot of news going down, a lot to talk about. We want to take you to the story we've been following all week. Cair, Minnesota, that's spelled C-A-I-R. Speaking on the Somali community right now, you are taking a look at that event live there as we are monitoring it. That feed there from WCCO, the local station in Minnesota. Let's listen in here for a moment.
Statements that declare that Somali Americans not only are here today, but will be here in the future. Statements of what Somali Americans mean, not only to this great state of Minnesota, but to your company, to your organization, and most importantly, to this country. In this moment, as one person makes a statement against this community, we together can make statements that are much louder, much bolder, and can tell the story a lot more different. So if you have a school, a church, an organization, a business, whatever entity that you have, do that. Share a statement, and we look forward to this week coming that communities can come together and craft statements that are true, that share the different glimpses of the Somali American community, but also the broader immigrant community that is also impacted in this moment. As we head to this weekend, we are also asking faith leaders to remind their congregation. In this moment, we pray for our nation. We pray even for our politicians. We pray for each other in order that in this moment, lightness wins and hate loses. We are asking for churches, mosques, and synagogues and people of other faith to use this time as we head to an important holiday part of the year where we come together as families and we think about our communities and we begin to think about a new year and a new beginning. We are also asking in this moment, as already has happened, we are asking for your neighbor to check into your Somali neighbor, your Somali colleague, your Somali friend, your Somali doctor, teacher, those who are impacted in this moment, to check in with them, to see what they need, to let them know that you are here for them. Because in this moment, it is this type of hate that will lead to incredible bondship and relationship and love. People who may have smiled can now have a conversation, a cup of tea, and actually be bonded together. And we are looking forward to that happening not only this weekend, but throughout. We're also asking for people to plan for a day of action on Saturday, December 13th, not only here in Minnesota, not in different parts of the state, but also across the country. A day where they can share their love and support for the Somali American community and other immigrant communities as well. In this moment, we are not going to retreat. We're going to lean in. We're also asking for everybody, especially now. Our conversations have left sometimes the hallways and in areas, and our conversations have now become into social media. And we're asking in this space as well to share your love, your support for the Somali American community and other immigrant communities as well. This is not a time to be silent. This is a time to be bold and to speak up. And we are asking for people to support the Somali businesses. We know many of them are affected. Look in your neighborhood. Find that business, that restaurant, that salon, that grocery store, that other business that is in your neighborhood, in your community. Reach out to them, visit them. Be bold there to say, we are with you. We are here to support you. We stand with you. We know that ICE is using these important junctions of our community as a place where they weaponize their activity against lawful U.S. residents and U.S. citizens. As we know, majority of Somalis are citizens of this country. And finally, we need long-term commitment. We are looking for businesses and organizations in this moment to say what bold idea initiative that they can support, not only to protect, honor, respect, and support the Somali American community, but all immigrant communities. We've heard from the President. We've heard from some of our community members. This is the time we hear from our neighbors and friends and colleagues. And I'll tell you personally, I have met a number of people just this morning and others who would privately come to me and say, I am sorry. I stand with you. I want to let you know that. This is who we are. This is a place, especially here in Minnesota, that is cold right now. But it's a place that has incredible people. People who say, oops, before we do something else. We have people here who have warm hearts in this cold environment. And in this moment, Minnesotans, we are on the clock. We need to stand up. We need to speak up. And we need to share a glimpse of the great experience that has happened here for the last 30 years, where Somali American children today find this place, this land, with 10,000 lakes and more as home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jelani. The rest of the speakers that you'll hear today are going to kind of expound on what Jelani was saying, on those 4 points, on the asks, the day of action, the robust support that not only we as an organization need, but we as a community need as well. The next speaker that we have is the Executive Director of AIDA Leads.
Okay, but we're going to continue listening in here, but I just want to recap here what you're watching. You are looking, kind of just provide a little bit of context here. I want to make sure everybody knows what's kind of happening here. You are watching there as CARE Minnesota, they are kind of holding this event. They're responding to these Trump remarks on Somali citizens. Those remarks simply... It's saying here, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but saying they don't belong in this country, Somali citizens. This comes as there has been a lot of ICE scenes and visuals in Minneapolis, and these people, the people speaking and the people we've heard from the last few days, say they are attacking specifically the Somali citizens of Minneapolis. Minneapolis known to have a larger population of Somali citizens, so that's why this has come to be a little bit of a big deal and why we've been following it so closely. So I just wanted to note that here as we continue listening. Let's listen back in though.
The fabric of our state and our nation. I'm proud to stand with my community, all immigrant community. That is who my community is. My community is also Minnesota. My community is the people who live here in Minneapolis. I'm a proud Somali Minnesota. Now more than ever, we need leaders who will stand up and stand strong, who are willing to call out harmful rhetoric and call our community back into compassion and care. AIDA Leads, alongside our partners and neighborhood, is proud to support the establishment of Somali Heritage Month. This recognition honors the culture, the richness of our culture, and provides an addition to the culture that we found already here in Minnesota. Together, we can shape a future rooted in belonging and shared purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Habon. Next, it's my pleasure to invite Imam Hassan Jama.
I'm Imam Hassan Jama, Hassan, Jama Jama, Imam of Al-Hikmah Islamic Center in Minneapolis. Unapologetically, I want to say I'm an American, I'm a Somali American, I'm a Minnesotan, and no apology. And I'm brave to call Minnesota home, where I spend most of my life. I want to thank everyone who stand what America is, which is land of opportunity and a place you can dress the way you want, you can worship the who you want, and you can talk the what you believe. Maybe someone says, as a Somali community in America, we did not assimilate or integrate. But tell me, when we have here in Minnesota more than 500 nurses, doctors, lawyers, teachers, elected officials, from Congress to the neighborhood associations, business people. What assimilation are you looking for? We must also recognize our President Donald Trump is attempting to distract Americans from real issues, including his rapidly failing approval rating, by targeting and blaming vulnerable communities. This kind of political rhetoric is not new in America, in American history, and it does nothing to solve real problem facing our nation. What we are witnessing today as a Somali American echoes the painful experiences that many communities face in the past. Irish community, African American, Italian, Jewish, and others who were unfairly targeted, yet preserved and become pillars of American society. Today, the Somali American community, together with all Minnesotans, stands united with resilience, dignity, and unwavering commitment to our shared values. We will not be divided. We will not be intimidated. We will not continue to stand for fairness. We will continue to stand for fairness, justice, and true spirit to America. We must also remember that the mistakes of a few individuals can never be used to generalize or stereotype an entire community. We have a justice system and law enforcement in place, and we must allow them to do their job against anyone who commits a crime, regardless of their background or identity. More than 90% of Somali Americans in Minnesota are hardworking, reasonable, and deeply committed to contributing to the prosperity of our state and our country. Maybe you ask yourself, we did not answer and comment the rhetoric and false allegation towards our community last couple of years, when some appointed officers and elected officials brutally targeted our community to gain a political position. We were busy to help our family. Average job of Somali American in Minnesota between 8 to 14 hours a day. We are a hardworking community, and we don't have time, like any other American, to come during the day and stop what we are doing and to come 3 p.m. to the city hall and define who we are. Almost 60% of Somali Americans in Minnesota born and raised here. And as we're speaking right now, as Minnesota is thriving economically, our community are prosper and thriving. Our second generation is have a good paying jobs, and we start last 10 years to become homeowners, to chase American dreams. This is who we are. We are standing together. We are organizing ourselves, and we don't let anyone to demonize and to humiliate. We want to ask, and I want to see our elected officials. We heard our governor, Minneapolis Mayor, St. Paul Mayor, and others spoke already. Bravely, I'm watching other elected officials. If they are not complicit with the racism comes from Washington, I want to hear from them if they care about Minnesota and Minnesota communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imam Hassan Jama. Next up, we have Qasim Basuri.
My name is Qasim Basuri, Kassim, Basuri, Busuri. I'm a former appointed City Council member of the City of St. Paul, Ward 6, and also the Executive Director of Minnesota Dawah Institute. Thanks to all the brothers and sisters who came to support our community. And I also want to thank the local politicians who have supported our community and continue to support our community. President Donald Trump attacked and verbally attacked Americans yesterday and the day before, and he continues to verbally attack Americans. We demand he apologize publicly. And we demand Congress and the Senate to make sure he apologized directly to the Americans that he assaulted with his disgusting words against the Somali community. And every community that he attacks, there needs to be a check of power. So we demand President Donald Trump to apologize to the community. And he didn't attack foreign entity. He didn't attack a foreign country. He attacked American. An attack on one American is an attack on all Americans. Again, we ask Donald Trump to apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, Qasim. We definitely share that sentiment. Next, we have Pastor Anthony.
My name is Pastor Anthony Galloway, ANTHONY, I'm the pastor of Wayman AME Church in North Minneapolis, and I'm here to speak and appeal to all of our faith communities to use your time and energy to pray, to cover this community and all of our communities whenever we have rhetoric like this. As a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, we know all too well what divisive rhetoric can stir up in this country. When Dylan Roof walked into one of our churches in South Carolina and perpetrated that violence. We know what that looks like here in the state of Minnesota, that stirring up this hateful rhetoric has led to not only the vandalism of several mosques, but of course the bombing of the mosque in Bloomington. So we need to stand together in solidarity and be able to say, you attack one of us, you attack all of us. We are communities of faith, we are communities of solidarity. It seems that some in Washington would think that nobody would respond if I'm going to attack a community for no reason. The vast majority of all of the Somali peoples in this country, many in Minnesota, there is no reason. This is a frivolous use of tax dollars because there is nothing to find here except to try to stir up the divisions. So we ask and stand in solidarity, not just with the AME Church, but faith leaders across the state of Minnesota and across this country. Urge your congregations to spend some time in your gatherings for praying not only for our Somali community, but also for all of our communities, to put forward all of the things that we venerate in our faith communities. There's a poem in Lakech, you are the other me. And if I do harm to you, I do harm to myself. In my own faith tradition, the greatest commandment is to love God above all, and the second is to love our neighbor as ourselves. So let's act on all of those things and use all of the times that we can gather together as faith communities to stand in solidarity and to show that you single out any one of our communities in this heinous way, you're going to get a response from all of our communities. Thank you.
I was on that too. Thank you so much, People's Pastor, Pastor Anthony. Next, it is my honor and privilege to be able to welcome to the podium lovers of justice and champions of peace, members of the Minneapolis City Council and the State Senate.
Hi, my name is Oreen Chowdhury. I'm the council member to the 12th Ward here in Minneapolis. And I stand with my colleagues on the Minneapolis City Council, Council President Elliot Payne and Council Member Jason Chavez. And I stand alongside my state senator, Senator Zina Mohammed. In Minneapolis, we love our Somali neighbors. We support our Somali neighbors. And what our president is doing right now is to strike fear in our communities, to divide us, to be bigoted, and we're going to turn that hate into love, and we are making a commitment, as we have done year after year, to recognize Somali Heritage Month in the city of Minneapolis in June, as we have done for many years and will continue to do so. And we will celebrate Somali heritage 365 days, and we encourage and we implore cities across the state of Minnesota and across our countries to follow suit with City Hall here in Minneapolis and also recognize Somali Heritage Month. We are also going to take meaningful action to ensure that our immigrant communities have the protection and services that they need, and that's why this budget cycle we will be making meaningful advancements.
Members of the Somali community and representatives from the Somali community speaking out after Trump has made comments on the community there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There, we will continue to monitor that event that is ongoing. Alrighty, we do want to turn now to some other news we are following at this hour. We are following new images released of the island Jeffrey Epstein once lived on. We have some video from yesterday's edition of Brooklyn News Live. Take a look. Okay. New photos have been released of Jeffrey Epstein's island following, this is by House Oversight Committee Democrats. We'll show you some of these. I have them opened on my computer screen from House Oversight Dems. Take a look there. This is a look at just some of those images. Wait 1 second. Okay, so again, these images never before seen. You are seeing them. If you haven't followed the news today, you're seeing them first right here on Brooklyn News. Here's just a few of those images. I'll kind of just scroll through them as they kind of load up just images of this island that Jeffrey Epstein was accused of trafficking on, found guilty of solicitation of prostitution. He was never actually found guilty of prostitution. Because he committed suicide before that trial took place. I mean, here's just the images are a long lasting. If I exit out of that, I can just scroll down and I might be able actually to push in a little bit here on what you guys are seeing so the images are a little larger and you're able to see all of them. Here's just those images right there. A little larger view now on your screen. It is quite interesting. No trespassing. Here's a map of the area. There's drone shots, and you have Great St. James and Little St. James. Just a little bit here because there is some videos and drone images. Here's just one of those videos. Again, they are never before seen videos, images released by House Oversight Democrats. I'll just look at just a few of these just to get an idea. I mean, not very flashy. No images of any of that show guilt by Jeffrey Epstein, but again, just starking images. There is some drone image. Sorry if there is these images here. We also have, I'll show you some of these here, full screen now. I'll take out the graphic here on the bottom of your screen. There is a second head there on the wall. Going a little bit over, you have a bed of some sort and some tools beside that. There's a look there at just some of the things. I mean, just so starking to see all of this. Here's another one of those images. It shows you can even see the heads on the wall if it'll load for us. I mean, just creepy. That's my take. Just this is image just right here. It's just creepy. So those are again the images never before seen released by House Oversight Dimps. Starking, interesting, a little creepy, to say the least. So we're gonna keep monitoring that story. Welcome back into Brookland News Live here as we approach the top of the hour. A lot of stories happening. We're monitoring what's going on over on Capitol Hill as you take a look live there. The sun setting beyond the clouds. And over at the White House Earlier today, President Donald Trump participated in a meeting with the Democratic Republic of Congo president and Republic of Rwanda president, the DRC president, to his name, Felix Tshisekedi, and then the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame there. So those are the presidents there. Of course, a little hard to pronounce there. We do have some quotes in from the president here before we play the video. Some notable quotes that came out of this video here that we're about to show you. The meeting that was held earlier today. Trump saying, quote, "We're sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over to 2 countries, and we're going to take out some of the rare earth, take out some of the assets, and pay everybody's going to make a lot of money." Trump repeatedly claiming about stopping 8 wars and terrorists, bringing in trillions of dollars. Talk about why Trump is holding this meeting today. It goes back because Rwanda and the DRC signed a peace and economic deal overseen by the U.S. and Qatar to end decades of conflict. The deal includes Rwanda's troop withdrawal from eastern DRC and into support for rebel groups and the establishment of an economic integration framework focused on critical minerals. Despite the signing, implementation has been slow. Implementation has been slowly, but I should say there, with ongoing violence and accusations of non-compliance from both sides here. This ongoing conflict between the DRC and Rwanda has been going on for quite some time, and it is something so interesting to see how this deal goes. This deal was again signed back in June. It's just not coming that these people are appearing earlier in Washington, D.C. with President Trump. Let's roll the video now.
Well, thank you very much. Wow. This is a nice building, I have to tell you. So this is a special occasion for a lot of reasons, but number one is it's our first occasion in this building using it for peace. And it's all about peace, and it's a great honor. And Marco, you've done a fantastic job in getting it ready, but it's a spectacular building, and we all appreciate it. And very importantly, we're settling a war that's been going on for decades with millions and millions of people killed. And these two gentlemen spent a lot of time talking to each other, and over at the Oval Office. We were at the Oval Office together. It was beautiful. And I think it's just a very important day. And we have other leaders from other countries. And you said such beautiful things. I'd love to have you come up. We'll finish up, and then I'd love to have you come up, and if you could issue the words that you just issued backstage. It usually doesn't work, you know. It usually never happens. They said, oh, they said it much better before, but you will probably do better up here. But I'd love to have you say how you felt, because it is an amazing day. Great day for Africa, great day for the world, and for these two countries, and they have so much to be proud of. And I want to thank the leaders. I want to thank you very much. It means maybe more because we are here together for the first time ever in this building. Brand new, beautiful building. I don't want to tell you how much it costs, because I hear it's a lot. Okay? They don't build inexpensively here. But I just want to thank you very much. So please sit down, everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's a momentous occasion. It's truly incredible setting. It's very few places I've seen like this. In this holy season, we prepare to celebrate the birth of the Prince of Peace. We have come to the U.S. Institute of Peace to sign a historic agreement that will end one of the longest-running conflicts anywhere in the world, with far more than 10 million people killed. Today, we commit to stopping decades of violence and bloodshed and to begin a new era of harmony and cooperation between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. I want to thank the two courageous leaders. They are courageous leaders. They really are courageous leaders, great people. President Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and President Kagame of Rwanda. They are amazing people, and they had stories to tell me that were incredible. Really fascinating in so many different ways. Sad and beautiful, both sad and beautiful, and today makes them beautiful. I've just held really fantastic meetings with both men and representatives of other countries where we discussed the importance of upholding this new agreement. Very detailed, powerful agreement. I also want to thank several foreign guests and dignitaries in attendance to celebrate this magnificent event, including the President of Angola. Please, would you stand? And so great to see you. Thank you. the President of Burundi. Thank you very much. Great to see you again. The President of Kenya. We have the Olympics. You know, they do very well in the Olympics, those runners. I don't know what the heck you do with those runners, but very good. I've been watching them for a long time. So we have the Olympics coming to the United States. You know that. Thank you very much. And you'll come as our guest. Thank you. And the President of the Council of Ministers of Togo. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Vice President of Uganda. Thank you. It's such a beautiful color. All these guys are wearing these dark suits. You just stand out for a lot of reasons. You're beautiful.
Okay, I know we're taking a look here, but we're having a few difficulties with that feed that you're seeing there. I'm going to check really quickly if we can get it fixed here, and then we will continue playing it out. One moment, a live look there at the White House again, Trump meeting with the DRC and Rwanda leaders after a peace and economic deal signing back in June. Stand by here, not sure exactly what the problem is. We will get it fixed, though. Alrighty, this might help here. Let's roll the video once again.
Thank you. It's such a beautiful color. All these guys are wearing these dark suits. You just stand out for a lot of reasons. You're beautiful. The foreign ministers of Qatar. Thank you. Thank you very much. Say hello to my friend, a great man. And the United Arab Emirates. Thank you. Thank you. My regards, right? And the chairman of the African Union Commission, who's done a fantastic job, and thank you for all your help. We appreciate all your help. Special group of people. A very special thanks as well to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Marco, please stand. Thank you. And thank you for putting a certain name in that building. I said, boy, that is beautiful. That blew up last night. They said, that's a great honor. It really is. On this building, it's a great honor. Thank you very much. I assume you had a lot to do with that. Just a little bit, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Senior Advisor for Africa, Masad Boulos, who's been fantastic. Thank you, Masad. All of these people, every one of them were indispensable in forging this agreement. Let me also recognize Senators Mike Rounds and Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, thank you. Mike, wherever you may be. Thank you. Thank you. Representatives Ronnie Jackson. Where's Ronnie? Ronnie is that great guy. He won his race in Texas by 48 points, right, Ronnie? So I don't have to ask if he's in any, I don't even have to endorse him anymore. It doesn't matter. Save the paper, right? Great job. Chris Smith. Chris? Thank you, Chris. Great. Good job. Trent Kelly. Trent? Thank you very much. Thank you. And the acting president of the Institute for Peace, Darren Beatty. Thank you, Darren, very much. Thank you very much, Darren. For more than 30 years, one of the worst conflicts on earth has been raging in eastern Congo. Millions and millions of people have been tragically killed, went on forever, and countless more have been displaced from their homes. Families have been destroyed. Many administrations have tried, but probably not too hard, knowing who preceded me. But they tried. It says they've tried, but we tried harder to end this conflict. But they've accomplished, obviously, they accomplished very little because the killing went on at levels that just got worse and worse. And today we're succeeding where so many others have failed, and this has become the 8th war that we've ended in less than 1 year. Such an exciting thing to do. This has been a really, because we're talking about 30 years of fighting, 30 years, much more than 10 million lives. Last June, thanks to the efforts of Secretary Rubio and Mr. Boulos, Rwanda and the DRC reached a landmark agreement to move toward peace. They started the process. I met with some of their great representatives who are here also, and we started a great process. The compact we're signing today, which will be known as the Washington Accords, everybody sort of liked that name, formalizes the terms agreed to in June, including a permanent ceasefire, the disarmament of non-state forces, provisions for refugees to return to their homes, and justice for those who have committed illegal atrocities. Very importantly, this agreement also creates a new framework for economic prosperity. There's tremendous wealth in that beautiful earth. It's beautiful earth, but it was stained badly with blood, tremendous amounts of blood. But in the region that will support a lasting peace, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda have agreed to more closely integrate their economies with each other rather than fighting, and they'll be doing that. And these two are very smart, and I think they liked each other a lot. I spent time with them. I think some people may be surprised. I really do. I think they've spent a lot of time killing each other, and now they're going to spend a lot of time and taking advantage of the United States of America economically, like every other country does. So they're going to do very well, but they do have some very valuable things. They're going to have a lot of money and a lot of success, and I think they're going to get along really well. So I hope so. Thank you very much. Look at them. Look at the way they love each other. Thank you. So I have a lot of confidence in both leaders. We'll keep these commitments. I know they're going to keep them and follow through on the agreement and create a much brighter future for the people of the countries. And they're heroes within their countries because of today. And this is a big story. And so much is being written and said. All of the newscasts have it at the top of the list. And they are heroes, and we want to keep it that way. Today, the United States is also signing our own bilateral agreements with the Congo and Rwanda that will unlock new opportunities for the United States to access critical minerals and provide economic benefits for everybody. And we'll be involved, our biggest and greatest companies, over to the two countries. And we're going to take out some of the rare earth and take out some of the assets and pay, and everybody's going to make a lot of money. These are just two of the many new agreements related to mineral supplies that my administration has achieved this year, including with Australia, Japan, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, South Korea, and many other countries. With all of these agreements, we're forging new economic security partnerships that protect the interests of America and our friends and partners, and a core feature of my administration's national security strategy, a big part of which is the tariffs. We're taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, and it's given us really great national security. We'll be paying down debt. We'll be making distributions to people, and we're really doing a job. It's amazing. I was with a gentleman, the future king of Saudi Arabia, and you've heard me say this a couple of times, but 2 months ago when I was over there, he said, and actually Qatar is represented today, and UAE is represented, and your leader said the exact same thing, different words, but the exact same thing, that 1 year ago they thought our country was dead, and now our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We have over $18 trillion, that's just in 10 months, pledged or being invested or pledged to be invested in the United States. Think of that, 18 trillion. The highest amount we've ever had is 1.5. Under the Biden administration, they did much less than 1 in 4 years. Think of that. So they did less than 1 trillion in 4 years. We have 18 trillion in 10 months. It's going to be much more than that, too. No other country in history has ever been close, no matter what country you pick. So I want to thank you again, everybody, for your great vision, and I want to thank the people, especially the people that we named. Some of the others that unfortunately we didn't name, we just couldn't do that. But for your vision and for your courage, because it's made it possible to begin healing old wounds and past differences and creating a future where every child of God can live in dignity, prosperity, and peace. And these are two very good men, and they're two very, very strong countries. I'd like to now invite President Kagame to come up and say a few words. It's Rwanda. And then, if I may, President of DRC, who really is doing a great job. These are two men that are doing a great job. And again, they are so respectful of what they're doing today and the mission that they've really, I think, accomplished. And we'll see how it all works out, but I think it's going to work out really great. They want to get on to other ways of living for their people, and they're great leaders. Thank you very much. Please, Mr. President, thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellency Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, Excellencies, heads of state and government and former heads of state, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin with some words of thanks. First, to my fellow heads of state and government from Africa, your presence here confirms that these efforts enjoy the broad support necessary to succeed. I also thank Minister of State Kulaifi, representing His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad of Qatar. Of Qatar has been absolutely central in getting us to this point. But of course, the biggest vote of thanks goes to President Donald Trump. No one was asking President Trump to take up this task. Our region is far from the headlines. But when the President saw the opportunity to contribute to peace, he immediately took it. This conflict has lasted for 30 years. We have mediations and efforts, but none has succeeded in resolving the underlying issues. President Trump introduced a new and effective dynamic that created the space for breakthroughs. His approach is even-handed, never taking sides. He orients us toward the future, not the past, emphasizing that the dividend of peace is prosperity and investment, including from the United States. More importantly, President Trump's approach is pragmatic. The process has not become an end in itself. All of these elements filter down to his dedicated team, and here I want to single out Secretary Rubio and Masad Boulos for special appreciation. We would not have would not be here today without their efforts. And as a result, we have the clearest and most viable path forward that we have ever had. These accords provide everything needed to end and for all. If this agreement falters and things do not work out as they are supposed to, the responsibility will not lie with President Trump, but with ourselves. It's up to us in Africa, working with our partners to consolidate and expand this peace. There will be ups and downs. There is no doubt about it. Rwanda, I know, will not be found wanting. I can assure you of that. Our only objective is and has always been for our country to be safe and secure after having endured so much tragedy. We now only want to look forward in confident expectation of a prosperous and stable future. Mr. President, Excellencies, I thank you for your kind attention.
Mr. the President of the United States, Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, dear members of the delegations, distinguished guests, as we have just placed our signatures at the bottom of the joint declaration enshrining the Washington agreements for peace and prosperity, I do feel, on behalf of the people of Congo, a deep gratitude and clear hope. First of all, I would like to express quite solemnly our deep thanks to the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump. I would like to thank his administration and also wish to thank the American people for the critical role that they played as doing for the rapprochement, the closening between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. To these thanks, I also bring in all of our regional partners and our international partners who, thanks to their commitment and engagement, have consistently made this critical moment possible in the road to peace. First and foremost, we have Sheikh Yanim bin Ahmad Adani. We have President João Manuel Lourenço Gonçalves, who is the President of Angola and the acting President of the African Union. And we also have the President of the Republic of Kenya, my brother, Uhuru Kenyatta, who I can see here in the room. These two great Africans who are at the beginning, who started the Luanda and the Nairobi processes. And beyond them, I wish to thank also all of the African leaders who contributed who helped us in this struggle. And I do hope that we have, yes, reached the end. The Washington agreements are not yet another document. These represent a turning point. They bring together, under a coherent architecture, a declaration of principles of a peace agreement and also the regional economic integration framework to provide to the peoples of the region a new perspective, a new outlook, namely to finally overcome the cycle of violence, of forced displacements, of mistrust, defiance, in order to begin a new era of friendship, cooperation, and prosperity all shared together. For those involved, the Democratic Republic of Congo takes this solemn commitment to implement with complete sincerity all of our obligations that stem from this agreement. We will do this with seriousness, with rigorousness, and also the constant care for peace and the security of our populations, for the unity and the integrity of our territory. We do hope that thanks with the same seriousness that the Republic of Rwanda will also respect fully the letter and the spirit of the commitments made here in Washington. We are reaching out for a peaceful cooperation based on mutual respect, non-interference, and the joint struggle against the armed groups, the end of all support to negative forces, and the beginning of fair prosperity on behalf of two populations. I do believe this day is the beginning of a new path. A demanding path, yes, indeed, quite difficult, but this is a path where peace will not just be a wish and aspiration, but a turning point. The Democratic Republic of Congo will fully play its part with dignity, with consciousness and consistency, with the support of our partners. We will remain watchful, vigilant, but not pessimistic. We'll be clear-eyed, but resolutely optimistic. These Washington agreements for peace and prosperity must be for our peoples a symbol of an irreversible commitment to turn the page of confrontations and to open a new era of cooperation and sustainable peace throughout the region. Thank you.
So, if I might, my four new friends, a couple of cases not that new. Could you come up, please? Do you mind? Please. They represent so many and so well, so I just want to thank you very much. Good.
Sr. Presidente Donald Trump, Presidente dos Estados Unidos da América, caros convidados aqui presentes, senhores jornalistas, eu gostaria de realçar a importância desta cerimônia aqui em Washington, D.C., que vai finalmente pôr fim a um conflito que, como já foi dito, dura mais de 3 décadas. Não são exatamente 30 anos, mais do que 3 décadas. Um conflito entre irmãos, países vizinhos e irmãos, que deviam se dar bem, mas que, por razões de diversa ordem, têm vindo a se degladiar ao longo dos anos com pesadas consequências, quer para as populações de ambos os países, como também para as respectivas economias. A região dos Grandes Lagos é uma região das mais ricas do mundo, não apenas da África. Enorme em recursos hídricos, terras aráveis, florestas, recursos minerais que estão no subsolo, mas, sobretudo, rico nas suas pessoas, com um potencial muito grande para desenvolver aquela região de África que pode catapultar o desenvolvimento de outras regiões igualmente do nosso continente. O mundo atravessa hoje uma crise energética e alimentar. Nós fomos a dizer que a África tem o potencial, não digo de resolver, mas de contribuir consideravelmente para a resolução dessas duas grandes crises, quer alimentar, quer energética, não apenas para o nosso continente, mas para o mundo. A grande barragem do Inga, adormecida há bastantes anos, pode contribuir enormemente para a eletrificação do continente e, consequentemente, para a sua industrialização. Em termos de agricultura, favoráveis, um índice de chuvas bastante regular e abundante, pode-se desenvolver a agricultura naquelas regiões para alimentar o continente. E nada disso tem sido possível fazer-se ao longo de décadas, devido a este conflito que não tem sentido e que, finalmente e felizmente, parece que terá o seu fim hoje aqui em Washington, D.C. Nós procuramos fazer a nossa parte, e quando digo nós, estou-me a referir a Angola, ao Quênia e outros países também africanos. Procuramos fazer o melhor para chegarmos a este momento. Infelizmente não foi possível, mas nós só temos que agradecer ao presidente Trump por ter dado continuidade ao trabalho que nós realizamos e ter conseguido alcançar esse desfecho do qual todos nós sairemos a ganhar. Tanto, mais uma vez, o presidente Trump fez a parte que lhe compete e nós esperamos e acreditamos que é o que vai acontecer, que as duas partes, as autoridades da República Democrática do Congo e da República do Ruanda, também farão a sua parte para a implementação com êxito deste acordo. Uma coisa é assinar um acordo, outra coisa possível, desde que haja vontade política, é implementar em tempo útil tudo aquilo que nós acordamos e assinamos. Parabéns a todos. Muito obrigado.
Your Excellency, the U.S. President, President Trump, dear guests, and dear dignitaries present here and press members, highlight the importance of this ceremony taking place in Washington, D.C., because this has come to put an end to a war that has been there for more than 3 decades, because it's not just exactly 3 decades, but it's more than 30 years. And this is a conflict between two neighboring countries which have been fighting for many years with consequences on the peoples, countries, economies, and so forth. And these consequences also were felt in the Great Lakes region, which is a very rich region in Africa, rich in terms of waters arable lands and forests, and as well as mineral resources which are important for the development of our region. So it's important that we've reached to this point where the agreement is going to be, has been signed, a peace deal, which will benefit immensely the whole region and will unleash the opportunities for the development of our continent, and as well as to helping the whole world in terms of fighting against the food crisis and energy crisis, which the whole world is. We believe that the Great Lakes region will have to play a great role in providing resources to the community. And of course, solving this conflict will also help solve other crises, not only in the continent as we know, but worldwide. For example, the Great Inga Hydro project in Congo is important. It can help to electrify the continent and consequently help in terms of developing agriculture and providing lands and resources that we have that can be used. We know that Africa possesses a lot of other resources such as rainfalls, which are important for agriculture. So nothing has, nothing would just justify this war, but eventually the most important thing that it has come to war. We sought as Africans to do our part. When I say Africans, I mentioned countries such as Angola, Kenya, and other African countries, but unfortunately we couldn't make it. But we now want to thank President Donald Trump for having helped to reach this important milestone. We have to thank him for what he has done, and what comes next now is to appeal to the two parties, that is the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda, to implement successfully this agreement for the benefit of their countries, their people, and including our continent of Africa. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President Trump, fellow heads of state, today's signing of the Washington Peace Accord for Eastern DRC is not merely a monumental diplomatic milestone. It is a decisive act to end a devastating conflict that has scarred the region for decades. Mr. President, what you have achieved is not only transformative, it is consequential and historic. This conflict has destroyed livelihoods, destabilized our region, and threatened the future of the entire Great Lakes African continent. Today's achievement culminates a relentless regional effort anchored by the foundational work of the East African Community and SADC, today this Washington process. The coordinated Nairobi, Luanda, and Washington processes created the essential pathway that brings us to this pivotal moment. We would like to extend our gratitude to President Tshisekedi and President Kagame for their leadership during this process. Reaching this point was made possible by the unparalleled consequential convening power of the United States and President Trump's resolute and focused commitment to peace. Your clarity, Mr. President, purpose, and ability to rally stakeholders together has brought us. We therefore extend our profound gratitude to President Trump, whose bold leadership has been instrumental in delivering this breakthrough. Our presence here, Mr. President, as regional leaders, of our collective resolve. We will spare no effort to ensure this agreement is fully realized, mobilizing every resource and partner to secure peace and unlock the region's immense economic promise. The protracted conflict on our continent continues to hold back Africa Our current 3% share of global trade is stark evidence of how far this war has held us back. A peaceful Eastern DRC can unlock one of Africa's greatest economic opportunities. Our vast resources, the young talent that we have, connected through our regional infrastructure and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, can ignite an unprecedented transformation. A peaceful and integrated Great Lakes will accelerate innovation, government risk regulation lowers costs, and open borders increase trade, attracting value-added industries to our continent. For too long, Africa has exported raw materials only to import refined products at great cost. Our regional economic integration framework, Mr. President, spoken to here, will build value chains in minerals, manufacturing, and agri-processing, creating jobs and creating wealth. The Great Lakes region stands at the threshold of a new era. Peace will open doors, integration will guide us, and private sector dynamism will propel us forward. In conclusion, as we celebrate progress in the DRC, we must not look away from other crises. I want to ask you respectfully, Mr. President, that in your for global peace, to resolve the humanitarian catastrophe in Sudan. I thank you.
Excellence, le chef d'État et de gouvernement ici présent.
Heads of state and government, dear delegations, it is with great joy that I speak today before you in order to express my joy. There is a time for everything. There's a time for destruction, and there's a time to build. There's a time for despair, and there's a time for hope. Today, we are experiencing a great day. We are looking forward to this agreement, which will give back hope to the peoples of Congo and of the sub-region. I would like to congratulate everybody involved who made this great day possible. We urge God to continue to guide us, to guide the steps of all people of goodwill who will become involved for its implementation. Committing oneself is something, but implementing is something else, which is why I call upon all of you, provide your contribution to actually implement this accord. As far as we are concerned, this agreement on regional economic integration, well, Burundi and the DRC already represent an economic community of the countries of the Great Lakes region. Burundi has a major role to play in order to indeed implement these existing cooperation agreements between the three states. We hope that together we'll be able to achieve a long-lasting peace and stability throughout the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I just want to introduce a friend of mine who I just noticed in the audience. He's in charge of a very small sport called here, soccer, over there, football. So nobody knows really what to call it. Johnny, thank you very much. The head of FIFA is here. And I can report to you that we have sold more tickets than any country anywhere in the world at this stage of the game, and I think we probably broke all records before you even get close. And you have a big event on Friday at the Trump Kennedy Center. Oh, excuse me, at the Kennedy Center. Pardon me, I'm such a terrible mistake. At the Kennedy Center, and I look forward to seeing you there. But I want to congratulate you. No, it's really taken the. You've never done anything like what's happening in terms of ticket sales. I'm making a lot of enemies telling people, I'm sorry, I can't get you tickets. I just can't do it. But congratulations, you've done a fantastic job. A great leader in sports and a great gentleman. Thank you very much, Johnny. And now we're going to sign a very important agreement. Thank you.
Alrighty, we gonna interrupt here to let you know what's happening because the silence is kind of loud there. You're watching President Trump as he is meeting with the DRC president, Felix Tshisekedi, and president of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. The DRC and Rwanda, they're signing that peace deal, an economic deal overseen by U.S. and Qatar. This expected to end decades of conflict. As you see there, we'll turn it up just a little bit here so we can hear if any audio does come about. Now, despite the signing here, this was something signed at an earlier time. It's just the big event, the big signing event is just coming out right now. Implementation has been slow, with ongoing violence and accusations of non-compliance from both sides. The DRC and Rwanda are in this pretty big conflict, to say the least. That's the point here, and the point of this peace and economic deal, again, overseen by the U.S. and Qatar. So we're continuing to watch that here, and we'll see exactly what occurs. As you are continuing to take a live look there on your live look on your screen at the White House, but on the left side of your screen, that view from earlier in Washington, D.C. Again, Trump meeting with the DRC president and Rwanda president after this peak and economic deal signing. Continue to take a look there. We're going to monitor it as this all comes about. A lot of news happening today, a lot to get to. I want to note some programming notes coming up a little later. We are going to stick on the air for a while longer because President Donald Trump and Melania Trump are expected to hold an event. There you go. You can see it in the second row of that lower third, that graphic on the bottom row of your screen. At 5 p.m. Central, we're expecting President Trump and First Lady, Melania Trump, lighting a Christmas tree on the ellipse at D.C. You hear the claps there. They've just signed that peace and economic deal, hopefully to end the conflict there that's been going on for so long. Something notable there, Trump saying in that meeting, quote, "We're sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over to the two countries, and we're going to take out some of the rare earth, take out some of the assets, and pay everybody, and everybody's going to get paid make a lot of money." Excuse me, unquote. That is a quote there from President Donald Trump in this signing event that you're continuing to watch there. The president also repeatedly claiming that he stopped now 8 wars and his tariffs are bringing in trillions of dollars. Again, there, President Trump looks like they might be about to take. He's speaking. Let's listen.
Very quick and very quickly, I think you're going to see things happen. This is something that was not doable, according to a lot of people, and not only is it doable, I think it's going to be a great miracle. These two gentlemen are leaders, they're great leaders, and they're going to prove that in the coming months and years. And I think you're going to see very immediate results. I have confidence that that's what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, again, the President Donald Trump, sorry, the feed that you're watching there was messing with the audio, and so was I. That's why I kind of had gotten out of a point there as we continue to watch this meeting. Wrapping up, this was earlier in Washington, D.C. We are continuing to watch that feed. Okay, we're going to sneak in a quick break here on Brooklyn News Live. Again, we were just talking about it. We are going to have a complete wrap-up coming at the top of the hour because we are expecting President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump to light a Christmas tree, as Christmas has already been underway at the White House. Decorations already going up there. We'll continue keeping our eyes on that view from earlier in Washington, D.C., and so much more. Brooklyn News Live returns here in just a moment. Hi, everybody. Welcome back into Brooklyn News Live. The coverage never stops. We're waiting on the National Christmas Tree lighting to get underway. Expected to occur at the top of the hour. In the meantime, we'll keep you occupied for those sports lovers. Earlier today, a press conference was held welcoming Ryan Silverfield as the new head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. A look there in Fayetteville, that camera view from KATV, the local Little Rock station here, is that you see them taking a picture with that jersey. They answered plenty of questions from the press addressing the changes. This comes after Sam Pittman was fired back in late September after he led the team to a beginning of a losing season. 2-3 was that record when he was fired. That's what many people say is the reason that he was fired. As you continue to take a look there at that camera just before that press conference got underway, as they take a picture with that jersey. Let's listen in.
From Hunter, and opening statement from Coach Silverfield, and we'll take questions.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. And I think it's appropriate in an event like this that we take a moment to recognize a person that I know was a colleague and a friend to so many in this room, Nate Allen, who passed away earlier this week. This would have been a special event for Nate for sure, and his presence here today is truly missed, and I know that you all will join me in keeping Nate's family in our thoughts and prayers today and during the course of this week. As I talked to coaches around the nation about this opportunity, it reaffirmed what I believe about our program. We can build a championship football program here at the University of Arkansas. The top-down alignment of a new financial commitment from our Board of Trustees, the university, the Department of Athletics, and so many generous donors that have taken place over the past several weeks was the first step to us being all in on this goal. This financial commitment will push us to the top half in key SEC items such as our assistant coaches pool, our strength and conditioning staff, our support staff pool, and our talent acquisition through revenue sharing and legitimate NIL. With the financial picture coming together, the next step was finding a head coach that was all in. I know for many in the Razorback Nation, coaching searches can last what seems like a lifetime, especially one that starts mid-season. There's the passion of our fans, the speculation, the debate, the misinformation, and a lack of credible information because of the tight searches that I run. And that can make 60 days seem like an eternity for Razorback fans, I know. But for me, this was not a race, but it was important that I took the time to find a great coach and to identify a coach who truly wanted to be here, a coach who clearly understands this state and the importance of our football program to this state, and a coach who shares my expectations and the expectations that we all share for the Razorback football program to compete for and win championships. Ryan was the first coach I spoke to in October, and he was the last coach I spoke to in November. And from our first conversation through the last, he made it clear to me that he and his family wanted to be at the University of Arkansas, and they wanted to be a part of the winning history and tradition of Razorback football. He has a lifelong passion for football and for coaching. He began his coaching career at the age of 18 as a student assistant at Hampton-Sydney College, and over the course of the next 25-plus years, he worked his way from those D3 roots to be a high school head coach, a college assistant coach, an NFL assistant coach, an offensive coordinator and head coach at the University of Memphis, and now the head coach of our Arkansas Razorbacks. As I spoke to people I trust in coaching circles around the country, I could not get anyone to say anything negative about Ryan. Everyone raved about the type of person he was, his character, his work ethic, the culture he builds, the love he has for his players, and that he's a great football coach. He was 29-9 over his last three seasons at Memphis, including a 4-1 record versus Power 4 teams. His 50 wins over the past 6 seasons are among the nation's top 10s for a head coach at the same school during that same time period, and he never had a losing season as a head coach at the University of Memphis. As you get to know Ryan, you'll see the traits that I had a chance to see in him during the search process. He's a great and genuine person. He has an incredible work ethic. He is a builder of relationships, as he quickly demonstrated in the last 72 hours as a recruiter, and he can build a winning football culture and a championship program here at the University of Arkansas. And I know that him and his family are excited to join our Razorback family and that they are indeed all in. Ryan?
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Razorback Nation. Thank you all for being here. It's an absolute incredible honor to be sitting here in front of you today as a head football coach at the University of Arkansas. Those words carry weight. This program was built on toughness, pride, that stretches from the hills of Fayetteville to Moore Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. That is what drew me here. Before I go any further, I want to thank Chancellor Robinson, Hunter Yurachek, the Board of Trustees, and all of those in the search committee and everyone else who believed in me to be the head football coach at the University of Arkansas. I want to thank my wife, Katie. Those two beautiful girls sitting right there, Adeline and Cecilia. Anybody that knows a coach's wife understands the long nights, the countless questions, the uncertainties, the love, the patience, and Katie has existed every single one of those. Her love and passion for me and for the game of football stands tall. She's given me the greatest gift that any father could ever ask for, and two girls. And the love for those two, when I look at them, it's what I'm all about, family and football. Adeline and Cecilia will make you guys very, very proud. And man, y'all look good in those outfits. That is who I am, family and football. I told the team when I met with them this Sunday that we will have to earn everything we get. Every win, every championship, every ounce of respect, we will have to earn it. Nothing is going to be given to us here, and that is how we earn it. So how do we earn it? How do we win an SEC championship or championships? How do we win a national title? We have to earn it. We have to empty the tank. We have to attack the work. We will respond to everything with toughness. We will never back down. We will guard our integrity, and we will do it together. If you listen carefully, that spells out earn it. That is our standard that we are setting today. We are all in, and we will earn it every day. Because this is Arkansas, this is a state not built on shortcuts or flash. It is built on early mornings, people that don't make excuses, and communities that fight for each other. From Frank Burrell's national championship team to the 1964 squad that set the standard. From Darren McFadden electrifying fans to Woo Pig Sooie throughout the Ozarks. This program is built on pride, resilience, and toughness. And it's time to bring it all back. Here's my promise. We will be relentless. We will play tough and smart. We will do things the right way, and we will earn it. To our fans from Fayetteville, to Fort Smith, to Little Rock, to Texarkana, Fort Smith, Pine Bluff, and all the towns in between, we need you with us. We need you to be all in. We want you to look at this team and say, they fight like Arkansas. Being all in together, we will rebuild it, we will earn it, and we will make this state proud. Thank you for being here today, and Woo Pig Sooie. Now, well, I think I got one more thing. Quincy? Quincy, you're all in for your senior year? Yeah. Let's go. KJ, you got something for us?
I'm all in too.
Yes, sir. Let's go. Some good news to get this day going along with the press conference. So,
You hadn't shared that with me. That's big news.
that's big news. Yeah, I was good. Keeping it on the edge. Let's go.
All right, we'll turn it over to questions. Trey, I think you've got to lead us off, right?
Well, I think I speak for everybody, say welcome, Coach. I'm curious, Hunter, you said this is the first name that you talked to. I was wondering how that first contact went with both of you guys, and then just kind of the conversations that went on throughout that, and I'm sure you interviewed several candidates also along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the long runway of almost 60 days allowed me to talk to informally to about 25 to 30 coaches during the course of that time, narrow that field down to 8 or 9 that we had some very formal interviews with, and narrow that down to 3 that we had some intensive in-home visits with, and then narrowed that 3 down to 2 that we really zeroed in on that we thought both would be great coaches. The first conversation for Ryan and I was by way of Zoom, and we connected with our small college roots, him having been at Hampton Sydney, me at Guilford College. They compete against each other in the ODAC, and that was a common bond for him and I right out of the gate. But I could tell Trey that him and I would work well together, and I think that's really important for an AD and a head football coach, because you got to get in that bunker together, and you got to build this program together, and that's the only way that truly works.
Your impressions of the first contact and the conversations that followed?
Well, listen, I've understood how much this football program, this university mean to this state. And I knew that from my, 10 years. And then having the opportunity, there were people that called and programs that called in universities, but when the University of Arkansas called, I got excited. Because I understand the passion, like I talked about, all the things that make this place so special. And so the opportunity to visit with Hunter, and really just to get to know each other on the surface and to talk about things, talk about his beliefs, his core values, what he wanted for this program, it aligned directly with me. And as Hunter just mentioned, that is so important, right? Because I was so fortunate to be at a place that I found special in Memphis for 10 years. But to me, to take that next step, it was important that I aligned with the athletic director, that we shared some common things, some beliefs that stand on the right type of merits of what we want this thing to look like. And so initially, just very pleased, and I said, this is an opportunity that if it so happens to go, I'm all for it.
You've had a lot on your plate, obviously, with the recruiting and talking to all these players individually and stuff. I don't even know if you've finished that yet, but you've also got to hire a staff, and I'm sure you've talked to guys, and you probably are bringing some people from Memphis. I was wondering where you are with that process, when you would like to have the staff complete.
Yeah, Trey, it's the wrinkles under my eyes are probably from lack of sleep between Hunter and I. We were joking around last night that I don't know if either of the rest are getting much these days, but that's a great thing because we're pouring into things that are important to us and that matter. And obviously hit the ground running, like I mentioned at the basketball game last night. From the moment I stepped foot, getting the recruits, the right ones, right? Some of these great ones in state to stay at home, and that was important to me, and I know it's important to our great fans. But then, part of it has been putting that staff together. And so in between phone calls, in between meeting with the players, I've met with every scholarship level player so far and had one-on-one conversations face-to-face, because that's important to me, is understanding who we are and what we're about and what else we need to do and what my job as a head coach is to improve this place for these guys, especially those that are coming back and mean so much to this program. And then the staff is coming together nicely. Obviously, a lot can't be shared publicly until they're sitting here in their offices, but I can tell you this, fans and media like you're going to be blown away by the staff. It's going to be a bunch of high-character coaches. Coaches are going to love the players. They're going to pour into them. They're going to love this community. They're excited to be here, that want to rebuild this thing the right way and know how special Arkansas can be. So we're going to bring in a bunch of guys and a bunch of people that are going to make everyone really, really proud.
Hunter, you've mentioned expanded financial commitment. Details, though. Can you give details as to what that looks like?
Matt, I think it's our competitive advantage not to give details of what that is, other than to tell you that it is a significant investment in all aspects of our football program that will move us to the top half of spending in all those categories I mentioned in the Southeastern Conference. And I don't believe we need to be at the top of spending. We need to be somewhere where we're really competitive, and Ryan and I are on the same page with where we are. It allows him to go out and hire the assistant coaches that he believes he needs to hire to build a championship program, and to invest in our revenue sharing and legitimate NIL to make sure that we acquire the best talent for our roster.
And Ryan, for you, how important was it for you to hear those words as you went through the interview process?
Well, one of the things that, and Hunter had these discussions early on is, listen, give us a chance. Give us a fighting chance, and I promise you we're going to win a lot of football games and do it the right way. And I think I appreciated that, because it's, like he said, we don't have to be at the top. You give us a fighting chance, we are. But this day and age, we also understand how important it is, right? Doing things the right way, being able to build the right staff, being able to provide for our players in this new age of college football. I always look at those. A lot of head coaches look at other things as challenges. I look at them as opportunities for us moving forward. But we know, and that's part of it. And part of my job as a head football coach is to assist Hunter and the rest of the athletic department to see what else we can go and do and out there. And I'll just say this, over the last 48 hours, there's been a lot of excitement about what's going on, and that's going to allow us to continue to build this program from every infrastructure, with whether it's resources, whether it's just the excitement, the belief, season tickets. We're going to keep pushing that right direction.
And Hunter, for you, in the middle of looking for a coach, you took on the chairmanship of the playoff committee. Logistically, how did that affect the search? And then, did you have to did your higher ups need some assurance that you were going to be able to balance those correctly?
I mean, the benefit of being the chair and just on the CFP selection committee is I'm required to watch a significant amount of football during the course of the week. And so I was able to watch football, evaluate coaches, evaluate how their teams played, because I was required in my commitment to the CFP to do that. So it allowed me the opportunity to really see how coaches perform, their demeanor on the sidelines, how hard their teams play on both sides of the ball. I was able to do both of those because I have an incredible staff, our senior administration, our support staff, all of our head coaches. I mean, they just do an incredible job, and they allow you to step away from the day-to-day responsibilities of an athletic director and know that everything's going to get done because just the people behind you that work so incredibly hard to make sure that this runs when I have to step away and do, whether it's the CFP duties or I'm away on the head coaching search trail.
Yeah. Hunter, on the new and significant financial resources,
yes,
I'm wondering, the fans want to know, how much is on hand, how much is committed, how much is still to go? Where do you stand?
We're not to the finish line, but I will tell you from a fundraising standpoint, we're off to a great start. What the athletic department is going to commit is significant, and that's how we're going to kind of reallocate some of the dollars that we have. The university, through a direction of the board, is going to make a commitment to our football program as well, and all of that's significant. I don't want to tie a specific dollar amount to any of that because I don't want to limit what we can do, and also I want to make sure that we have a competitive advantage. I think once you put your financials out there and tell other schools what you're doing, then it allows them the opportunity to come meet you where you are or exceed where you're at.
Ryan, a lot of head coaches came here before you that did not win. Why is it that you can come in and build a winning program here?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, first and foremost, it's always going to start with the players. And, we got gentlemen here today that are going to be committed to doing it the right way, that believe. And that was so fortunate for me, like just immediately understanding what we have on this roster and going out and finding. I think you guys got to see the work that could be done in 24 hours. Give me 24 days. Give me 240 days. Give me 24 years. All right, and you're going to see a winning program. And I think that can happen immediately. It's not one of these things where we're sitting here saying, hey, Hunter, I need 3 years to rebuild this. No, that we can start rebuilding the culture the moment we step down. The moment I had the opportunity to sit face to face with these guys and talk to them and see what they're all about and tell them what I'm all about and how we're going to do this thing together. And I firmly believe it starts with the players in the locker room. That everybody always says, Ryan, tell me about your culture. What's it like? What's it mean to be all in? And I always say, go see the players in the locker room. Go see those players that have been over to my house, the people that my wife has got to know and to pour into as well. And that's what it's all about. And the staff we're going to be able to put together. There are so many things about the state of Arkansas, so many things about this university, and so many things about this football program that are going to set us up for success. All right? There's a proof behind this program, the way we're going to work. We're going to outwork everybody in this country. Okay? And our players are going to believe in that. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to build an excellent culture, a sustainable one, year in, year out, and we're going to make our fans very, very proud.
You got a first-hand look at Arkansas football this year.
Yes, sir.
And that was basically the story of the season. Did not close the game out. How do you get from that point to winning a ton of games?
Yeah, I think part of that is, right, just finding ways. And, listen, at Memphis this past year, we found ways to finish some games and we found some ways not to. And that's the nature of college football. The margin for error continues to shrink, right? And just, brief synopsis of what I saw from Arkansas is, we have to find ways to be more disciplined. Right, whether that's penalties, all those things. I think just the leadership, right? And a lot of the players have come to my office and said, Coach, I think we want to step the leadership. Okay, well, good. That has to start right now, right? We can't wait till we get back on January 14th. That has to start right now. And guys buying into the way we're going to do things. I think the way you condition in the offseason, the way you condition during the season, what does that look like? A great understanding of situational football. Now, ultimately, we look at, I don't get much into statistics, but you want to talk about ball security and turnover margin. I think that's been an issue. In Memphis, we were, over the last 10 years, we're one of the best teams in the country at turnover margin, significantly more so the last 5 years. And that's important. That's how you win those games. And then finally getting guys to believe, guys that are going to be resilient, guys that are going to finish and fight every single play. And if you do that, you give yourself a chance.
Hey Ryan, Jackson Fuller, Southwest Times Record. What will you be valuing most in assembling your staff? Is it SEC experience, your own personal relationships, or how are you going about that in terms of what you're valuing?
Yeah, Jackson, listen, I always have valued experience, and I think that's important, but most importantly, great coaches and great leaders of men. And you can say, well, that sounds like coach speak. That's not. Because I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything. And we're going to find coaches that are going to truly pour into these guys. And they may think it's corny, but I'm going to tell them, these coaches are going to love them. They're going to hold them accountable, okay, to everything these guys say they want to do. And they're going to make sure they achieve exactly what we say we're putting out there. And we talk about standards and all those things, but coaches are going to set the standard and push the players to meet that standard. And look, there's coaches that are coming aboard that have SEC experience. All right, they'll be here before you know it, and we'll be able to talk about them and write about them probably the next time we all get together. There's some coaches that have some NFL experience. There's some coaches of various backgrounds, coaches I've worked for before, coaches that are going to make sure the lights stay on in this building, whatever the hell it takes. So all sorts. But, I can't wait for you guys to meet those people that are going to be with us, and it's going to be very, very exciting times.
Hunter, another financials question. I know you won't give us the details, but what can you point to fans and say, right here is evidence that we have stepped up our financial game in the SEC?
It will come when he announces some of the people on his staff. That will be the first piece, and then when you see how our roster comes together after the transfer portal officially opens in January, you see we've got a couple of young men in here that are coming back. That's a part of the financial commitment that we've made into our football program to be able to retain those high caliber, very talented young men that we want to be a part of our program and the leaders of our program. And so I think when you look at what the staff looks like, the support staff as well, and then the players that become a part of this program, that will show you the financial commitment we've made to our football program.
Hunter, sorry, another financial question.
Go ahead, sure.
If I understood you earlier, you said there were going to be some reallocation of funding within the department. Where is it going to be reallocated from? Is it other sports, or kind of how is that going? Or is there another revenue source coming in? Or
yes, and yes. I mean, just a couple of different revenue sources that we're looking through, both through our foundation and through the athletic department, and then just how we reallocate money that we're currently spending within our department, whether that's from a salary standpoint, an operational standpoint. But we feel like we can do some things differently to be more efficient, that we can reallocate more dollars to our football program.
And also looking over the term sheet for Coach Silverfield, I noticed that the buyout, it's not the tiered one that you had for Coach Pittman based on winning percentage. I'm curious what the reasoning was behind that.
Coach Pittman didn't have the same agent to start out with that Ryan does now. And so not many agents will advise their coaches to accept that buyout the way we had it set up. It was much more favorable to the institution. I think this is kind of a middle ground, that it's favorable to the coach and favorable to the institution.
And then, Coach, for you, I noticed that Scott Gasper is going to be a guy that's going to be following you over. I'm curious, kind of what role did he have with you at Memphis, and kind of how do you envision his role helping you here at Arkansas?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what exactly is I'm allowed to talk about, because some things are certain. But there will be people joining us from Memphis. Some will have different titles, some will have different roles. But there's so many great people there. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it weren't for that great staff at the University of Memphis and all those people, right? I think about 27 years of coaching, all the people that allowed me to get here today. But listen, as things come out, as people are able to get their contracts under, and we'll be able to discuss them at plenty. And I'll be thrilled to make time to kind of discuss the wonderful people that are going to be joining us here in Fayetteville.
Ryan, Christina Long from WholeHogSports.com. Heard one of your roles at Memphis when you were an assistant coach was some involvement in fundraising. Is that something that you kind of talked to Hunter about in the interview process, and something you plan on using here?
Yeah, listen, first off, we know as a head coach, you have to wear every hat, right? Whether that's picking up trash, whether that's being a CEO and fundraising, whether that's getting my hands in the dirt and teaching a lineman, make sure they're stepping the right direction. But that was part of something that I took pride in. I understand the way college football is going, right, towards the NFL model, all these things, but you still always have to fundraise. I don't care if you're a head high school coach in Savannah, Georgia, or the head coach of Arkansas. That's part of what is needed. And until they say, hey, we're just going to play for free, I don't know if, and we're not playing with monopoly money. There's always going to be the need for fundraising. And so I told them, and I've told his staff already, it's my job to help assist that. And, we can do that first and foremost by winning football games. But I'm happy to go knock on doors, to go meet some of these people. And I think part of that is just building the relationship, right? I can't wait for so many of our great fans, so many of our great donors, so many people that have already stepped up and said, hey, I want to help out. But just building those relationships and let them understand what I'm all about, what our young men are all about, who they truly are. And that's what's been so special to me. Like, you sit there and you have a narrative of coaches, of what you think they are and who they're about. You have a narrative of what you think of a program and the players. And then I have the opportunity to sit down with them face to face and get to know them and get, to tell that story. And that helps the fundraising as well. And I can't wait to develop so many of those relationships. But yes, long-winded answer. That was part of what I did at Memphis, and we're going to go to it full force here.
Hunter, you'll never guess what this is about, but are there plans to implement a student athletic fee as part of this new financial commitment?
There is not. That is not something that at least has been discussed from an athletic department standpoint. If that's something the board and or the university decides that they feel is the right direction to head, that would be their call, not the athletic department call. But from an athletic department standpoint, we have not discussed that.
And then to you, just what would a successful first year of the Silverfield era look like?
It's already off to a great start. When you talk about the recruiting class, the kids that he flipped in the first 24 to 48 hours, the young men that he's convinced that this is the right program to be a part of, and just putting this team together, putting this staff together, and really giving our fan base some hope for the future of our football program and what that can look like will be a successful first year. And let me touch on his fundraising prowess. He doesn't even know this yet. So he was in the Courtside Club last night, and he was doing what he does in building relationships with donors right off the bat. He walked away from one donor. The donor came up to me and committed to a 7-figure gift to our football program, just with a brief 5-minute encounter. He didn't even know he'd done that.
Like I gotta go meet some more people. I'll see you.
I think you see kind of the personality he has, and he can quickly build relationships and sell his vision to our fan base.
Yeah, Hunter, just following up on that example, how did the financial backing come together over the past few months with board, donors, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the board's had some significant discussions internally as a board, so I can't speak to those discussions. I was not a part of that. I provided some financial data to them. They asked the university to make a commitment. They asked the athletic department to reallocate dollars to make a more significant commitment. And then Ryan White, the executive director of the foundation, and his team and myself, we've been working for the last 30 to 45 days on that fundraising trail.
What was the process like? How long was it to kind of do that review of the department's finances and allocating the money?
It's been very quick because when you're out looking in a football coaching search, I mean, football coaches want to know what their assistant coaches pool is going to be. They want to know what their support staff pool is going to be. They want to understand the revenue sharing and the NIL opportunities before they're going to dive headfirst into a job. And so we had to put all that together and make a commitment to that pretty quickly.
Ryan, big Arkansas senior class, and also just the day and age of the transfer portal. How many spots are you expecting to be filled by your Memphis players?
I can't even comment on that. But listen, we dealt with 78 new players this past year at the University of Memphis, and we know there's going to be turnover. That's, like you said, that's what college football is all about nowadays. But I can't comment on what that will look like, but we're going to look all over and find the best fit for us. Right, and no different than recruiting. It's not about just taking the 4-star. It's about finding the best fit for our locker and the culture that we're creating.
Coach, Hunter mentioned Nate Allen a while ago, and it's odd as this is, the last conversation I had with him Sunday, the last thing he said to me is, will you ask Coach if he plans to have anyone on his staff from Arkansas? He said, I'm too sick to go. And that was Sunday. That's the last thing he said to me. Can you address that? I mean, I feel neglectful if I didn't ask you.
No, listen, and I have much respect for you asking that question on Nate's behalf. As we assemble the staff, listen, people that understand this great state, that's important to me. Okay, and not only I think about this. I think about my nights in the Bass Pro Shop pyramid overlooking, and I'd always point out to the recruits and say, "See that bridge right there? That goes to the great state of Arkansas." And we've had a lot of players I've been able to coach, and I've recruited this wonderful state for so long, and had relationships. In fact, I think I was looking at it even when I was talking to Hunter. I think a third of the guys on the roster already at the University of Arkansas, at some point, I'd had a conversation with over the last 4 or 5 years. Quincy, I was his first offer out of high school, and he won't admit how small he was when I first offered him. And that relationship, I just think look, man, it comes full circle. And there's some of these guys. I was sitting down with some of these players that I was sharing with Hunter that a couple of them, they're like, well, you beat me at this previous school, then you beat me this past year. I'm staying part of this team because I don't want to have to go against you again. But we will look for people in the staff that make sense. I assume that there are going to be some people with some good ties to this great state and this wonderful university. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Coach Ryan, Evan Camico, Pig Trail Nation. Curious for you, you were involved in the Memphis community. What excites you about getting involved in the Arkansas community here in Northwest Arkansas? As last night, yelling in fans' faces as well. What just excites you about the future here?
Yeah, Evan, I mean, if you can't go and see what those the students, absolutely amazing. They kept me from doing it. I was going to put on one of those overalls with the stripes on it, but they didn't know. I mean, I thought it was going to be pretty cool, but I withheld myself. But those students got me fired up, and that's that passion of the fan base. I mean, just seeing it. From the moment I touched down, the first thing we went and we watched, and I got to talk to Coach Cal and how much he loves this place, and I got to hear about those things. And then you think about the Children's Hospital of Northwest Arkansas. Like, to me, we're going to get back to this community. My wife and I are going to do everything we can to make this place as great of a place as we can. And how can we give back? Like, what are some community things that we can do? We were 5th in the country at Memphis last year in community service hours. And to me, that's as important as anything we do, because I think if we can give back to the community, right, it means so much. And a lot of those people are going to be, in the stands and being season ticket holders. So whatever we can do, I'm all part of it. And, I know there's a veteran affairs, there's a VA hospital here. Like, that was something I was huge with in Memphis, giving tickets to the vets. As soon as it slows down, if it ever does, maybe February, I'm going to get out and want to visit with the VA and see how we can help them. There's so many great organizations and so many great people in this community. My family and I are going to do everything we possibly can to give back.
Last one for me. You had those two guys over there just come in here and say they're all in for you. What excited you about getting those guys back for 2026?
Well, listen, it starts with the type of, and I'm not trying to repeat myself. It starts with the type of young men there. Because I had an understanding of who they were, and anybody can watch film and know that they're super talented, and know that there's also, like I told them, I said, guys, we haven't scratched the surface, and they know both that. Like, that's why I said I'm going to push them, I'm going to challenge them. And when they sit there and say, "You're right, absolutely," and you sit down with a kid and you tell them you're going to push them and hold them accountable, and they start sweating and batting an eye. I'm like, cool, get out of my office. Good luck to you. But those two, it's the mindset, the integrity, the approach. They want to be leaders. They want to see this team succeed, right? I told them, like, there's no more of this loser mentality. And they've bought into it. And in a quick term, and they're going to be the ones that infect the rest of the locker room in a positive manner and say, hey, this is what it is. This is what it looks like to be all in. This is what our culture is about. This is what Arkansas football needs to look like. So guess what? Just like what everybody said, wow, great first week. We're not even, I think I've been here for like 10 months, but I think I've been, a couple of days. Like, wait till the week keeps going on. Wait till the weekend. We're not sleeping, okay? We're going to build this thing the right way. And again, it starts with the great players that are already on this roster.
Yeah, Anthony Christensen. Okay. Anthony Christensen, HawkSports.com. Ryan, I just got to see a little bit of it when Arkansas played at Memphis earlier this year, but I guess just what are the main, aspects of an identity you want for your first year, with the roster, with the coaching staff, et cetera?
Yeah. I'm not going to give you a coach speak answer, okay? Just no different when people say, give us here's the deal. You're going to have a bunch of guys that love football. A bunch of guys that are going to be tough, a bunch of guys that are going to be resilient, a bunch of guys that are going to love each other, a bunch of guys that are going to work really hard to make this state proud. And that shows up in between the white lines, right? I truly believe, there's a direct correlation to how we do things off the field, the culture that we're going to build. It shows up on game day. And when people watch this, they're going to say, man, that team plays with relentless effort. That team cares about one another. And they're going to be disciplined, they're going to be detailed, and they're going to fight their asses every single day to give everything they have.
Okay. Brian, congratulations, welcome. I heard a cut of yours in a recent interview about this is not a 3-year turnaround. This is something that we're going to turn around in a hurry. What's your message to the fan base for how and why that will happen?
Well, it is. This is a different day and age. Things do take time, right? The culture to build, you have to build that every single day, and that's what it's going to start with. And you're going to have to put the pieces together. And when I say it's going to happen, people say, well, project the number of wins. I can't do that. I can tell you this, we're going to be the best in the country at what we can control. And that's right, the attitude, the effort, the approach every single day. Those things were going to be the absolute best in the country. But that's something we got to work to build. And there's going to be some people that are currently on the roster that are going to be back that we're going to have to make sure, hey, it may take a little bit more pressing. But these freshmen we're going to bring in, these young guys, we're going to have to develop them. Right, we're going to recruit the heck out of high school football players and develop them. We're going to be the best in the country at developing. But what that looks like, similar to what Hunter said, is we're already starting to see a movement in how these guys are believing and what they want and a positive mindset. I already told them, like, we're changing out light bulbs the other night. I said, I want brighter light bulbs down here. And someone looked at me like, what? I said, yeah, not like next month. I said, no, tonight, if I got to go to Walmart myself and start changing them out, I will. But that's part of it. I want these guys to say, man, this is different. This is going to feel different. And we're going to go earn everything we do. But, oh, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, when I FaceTiming her and at 12:30, she says, "Where are you at?" I'm still at the office. I'm up on a ladder changing some bulbs. No, it's just part of it, and I think it's one step at a time. We're going to take this one day at a time. But if you do it the right way, it's going to show up in results on Saturdays.
Hunter, just one quick one on the logistics. When we talked to you, when the change was made, you were one of the first ones in this cycle to make the coaching change. A lot more follow. Did maybe the number of openings complicate the search at all?
Not really, Daniel. I mean, I think we're all kind of swimming in the same pond with the same coaching candidates when it all came to, when you saw how it all kind of fell out and fell into place. Many of the people that were in the final 8 or 9 that I talked to are now head coaches at other institutions, and so you do have to wait till some dominoes fall for sure. But I don't know that it overcomplicated things because there's always a lot of openings. This was an inordinate amount of openings, but it didn't necessarily overcomplicate it. It gave me an opportunity again during those 60 days to talk to the right number of coaches, determine who was truly interested, who was truly a good fit, who was not interested, who was trying to get a raise at their current institution, things of that nature, and then really narrow that field down to a group of quality coaches.
Hi, Ryan.
Alrighty, you have been listening in there to a press conference happening earlier today from KATV. We are now going to go to some other news because President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are now speaking at the National Christmas Tree Lining at the Ellipse. Let's listen in.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Melania. And it's a beautiful job they did on creating that tree. It's a beauty. And let me also recognize Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha, as well as Secretaries Scott Bessent, Pete Hegseth, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretaries Doug Burgum and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Administrator Kelly Loeffler, and their wonderful families are doing a fantastic job. And I see out in the audience the great one, Wayne Gretzky and Janet. Thank you very much, Wayne, for being here. He's used to this kind of weather. Let's also express our gratitude to the great people of the National Park Service. They're incredible, the job they've done, as well as the unbelievable performers here tonight. You're going to see some incredible performers, and we have in the audience the Beach Boys. They're great. During this holy season, Christians everywhere rejoice at the miracle in Bethlehem more than 2,000 years ago when the Son of God, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, came down from heaven to be with us. You're right. Full of grace and truth, he brought the gift of God's love into the world and the promise of salvation for every person and every nation. And we just settled another war today. You saw that with Rwanda and the Congo. It's been going on for 34 years. Millions of people killed. Could be 20 million. They don't know what the number is, and we just settled it today. That was a big one. We're very happy to announce it on this important day. Tonight, this beautiful evergreen tree glows bright on the dark and cold winter night and reminds us of the words of Gospel of John, "In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind." Beautiful words. With the birth of Jesus, human history turned from night to day. His word and his example call us to love one another, to serve one another, and to honor the sacred truth that every child is specially made in the image of God. For 250 years, think of it, our country is 250 years. This is a big year. I'm so happy that our presidency was delayed. Otherwise, I'd be sitting home watching television, not being invited. I would be extremely upset. And remember, we have not only the 250 years, but this is a big one. We have the World Cup and we have the Olympics coming up, all within this 4-year period. See, if they didn't rig the election, I would have been sitting, can you imagine? I wouldn't have any of them. And I probably wouldn't have been invited. I would have been very upset by that. But America has stood tall in part because millions of our citizens have heeded that call, and the faith and service of Christians have been essential parts of America's strength from the very, very beginning. Incredible. We love the Christians. We love all religions. And by the way, religion is coming back to the USA. You see that very strongly. So this Christmas season, let me say thank you to everyone who serves the needy and lifts up the communities inspired by faith. Thank you to the police, law enforcement officers, first responders, ICE, and Border Patrol agents who risk their lives every day to defend the innocent, protect the good, and keep the evil and danger at bay. And thank you to the men and women of the United States military, including the brave heroes of our National Guard here in Washington, D.C., where we've set a record for lack of crime in 28 years. So I just want to say we have a great place, and I want to pay my highest respects to those two great guardsmen. You know who I'm talking about. They paid, in one case, the ultimate, and the other. Andrew is getting better. Sarah, unfortunately, is watching from a high, watching from heaven. Her parents are so incredible, and Andrew is hopefully getting better. He got hit hard defending us, and I just want to pay my respects to them, two incredible people, unbelievable people. I spoke with the parents and met the parents today, the parents of Andrew, and they have spirit and they love our country so much you wouldn't believe. But as a nation, we have much to be grateful for. On this holiday season, our border is secure, our spirit is restored. Most secure border we've ever had in the history of our country. 7 months and nobody has come in illegally into our country. Nobody, not one. Our economy is thriving, inflation has stopped, our nation is strong, and America is back bigger and better, stronger, better than ever before. Think of it. And we're making peace all over the world. We're settling wars at levels that nobody's ever seen before. 8 of them. We're looking for one more. That's Russia, Ukraine, if that's possible. And I think we'll get there eventually. Last week, 8,000 soldiers killed. Last month, they had 27,000 soldiers needlessly killed. We got to get that stopped. We're working very hard on it. Just over 1 year ago, our country was in very, very serious trouble. The King of Saudi Arabia said to me very strongly, "Sir, 1 year ago your country was dead. Now you have the strongest and hottest country anywhere in the world." Can you imagine? We did this in 10 months. What a difference, and it's true. Everybody feels that, and all leaders feel that. So as we prepare to celebrate the miracle of Christmas, we thank God for his many blessings, and together we rejoice at the true source of greatness, happiness, and strength. The good news is that glorious nights 2,000 years ago, think of it, 2,000 years ago, it was indeed a glorious night. So I want to thank everybody here. I want to pay my deepest respect and love to all of our great citizens, like 350 million people. We love them all. Whether you like them or not, we love them all. We want to take care of everybody. We have to take care of everybody in our country. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and have a good time. And you're going to see some great entertainment. Thank you very much, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, participating in some brief remarks there from the president before this national Christmas tree lighting ceremony as it is held right now. We are continuing to watch it there, see what occurs. We are going to keep with it here, and we'll watch the full event as it occurs. We are expecting more speakers coming soon. Not sure when that is, but we'll see here and we'll track it here. We know there are a number of people in participating in this. We've already heard from Secretary Dick Burgum, the Department of Interior. Gabby, looks like we just lost that feed there, so we'll see if we can get it back here. But again, the President, the First Lady, Secretary Dick Burgum, Gabby Barrett, country music singer, John Party, another country music singer, Elena Springsteen, another country music singer, a Christian music singer, Matthew West, country music singer, Brett Young, Warren Zeters, country music singer, and the Beach Boys, of course, an American rock band there. Attendees are the Vice President, the Second Lady, the Second Family, Secretary Scott Bessent, Secretary Pete Hegseth, the wife of Pete Hegseth, and that goes down to be the Attorney General, her husband, Catherine Burgum, who is the wife of Doug Burgum, so we'll be watching that to see where it goes. That way we're going to be able to get some more footage from it. Doesn't look like we're going to see anything more from the tree lighting, at least from this view that we have gotten. And that looks like we're gonna use it as our signal here to wrap up our coverage on our extended edition of Brooklyn News Live. And we were just waiting for the president to make remarks there. Here, the president make remarks at about 5, right as we were expected to go off the air. So we just stayed on and watched a number of events today. That is going to do it for us. Remember, you can follow us over on BrooklynNews.com and on all of the social media pages that have been scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We'll leave you off on this shot of Brooklyn there on our camera. Take a look there. That's a look in Brooklyn. Our coverage continues tomorrow from 2 p.m. Central Time to 5 p.m. We'll have a wrap up of the latest in headlines and so much more. That's all on tomorrow's edition of Brooklyn News Live. That is for us.